George Morgan here and Jack Canat. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Down between the Mercedes teammates.
Donoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Judo countdown, Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL F1 here on a Wednesday afternoon. The season got wrapped up in its Drivers' Championship last time out. Jarno Opmeer taking his 7th PSGL title. That makes it a total of 6 PC championships, and of course that one PlayStation championship as well. But we're here for the final round of Season 37. My name's Tom Knight, and alongside me this evening is the wonderful Nathan Richards, stepping in for a rather unwell George Morgan. Nathan, how are you doing?
I am doing perfectly fine, thank you, TK. Pleasure to be here, or shall I say Tom? There we are. Keep it more professional. It's great to be here. Of course, I haven't been here since, I think, Season 36. It's been a long, long time, so it's great to be back here for PCF1, and probably one of my favourite circuits as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic circuit. Yas Marina circuit is where we come for round number 12 in the F1 Championship, and it's going to be an amazing end because, as we said, the Drivers' Championship already concluded last time around in Brazil. A fantastic and fascinating race around Sao Paulo, but the Teams' Championship is still all up in the air. There's quite a few contenders that can still take it.
There certainly is. And I mean, it's good, isn't it, going into the final round, having some sort of a battle going on, whether it's in the teams or whether it's for second. I mean, we know that second doesn't mean everything, but if you're maybe Blakely in P7 or whoever's up in P6, you'd still love to be in the top three, wouldn't you? It'd be great. You'd have a bit of an ego boost heading into the next season.
Certainly would do indeed, and who knows whenever that season will be indeed. But speaking of lineups, let's check out who is racing around the streets of Abu Dhabi this evening. So here are your lineups for this afternoon. It's Joni Tormila and Josh Ido unchanged in the Alpine lineup. Otis Lawrence steps in alongside Duncan Hoffland as the first of tonight's reservists. Angelo D'Ortenzio steps in alongside Barry Borman to make what I assume, and I put an educated guess on this, is his first PC F1 appearance. Joris Krozen and Shanika Clay in the Haas team, and of course Thomas Ronnar and Brendan Lee unchanged in the Kick Saubers. It's Van Pookie and Bentz, a completely changed McLaren lineup for tonight. Jake Benham and Danny Berezne, Jarno Opmeer and Freddie Rasmussen, an unchanged Mercedes and Red Bull lineup. Tom Manley alongside Julian Kaffenbach in the V-Cubs, and of course Alvaro Caraton and Ismail Fassi make up the Williams team this evening. Now, Nathan, what are your thoughts on some of our reservists in this afternoon?
I mean, it's great to see them here, isn't it? You know, some of the new and upcoming drivers, such as Angelo, of course, as F3 last season, halfway through got promoted to F2, and then, of course, he's leading that championship at the moment, and, of course, here now in F1 for his first race. I'm very excited to see what he can do, but also Julian and Joris, you know, they are absolutely brilliant at the moment. You know, obviously both under R8G. They're taking wins wherever they can. E-Series, F2, no matter what, they'll take wins. I mean, I think it was F2 last season. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but Julian won by about 50 points. Yoris was right behind him, and then there was a big point gap back. So, they are literally dominant, especially in F2. So it's great to see them get their chance here in F1.
Certainly are indeed. It's a fantastic reservists stepping in this afternoon. Of course, not only is it an opportunity for them to race some of the best esports drivers in the world, but also, as we were discussing before the stream got going, it's an opportunity for them to show what they're made of when they come against the best of the best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Angelo, for example, recently got signed by Veloce Academy, and of course, there's 3 teams under there: McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari. They'll be watching Angelo here, seeing what he can do, and maybe if he, has a surprising performance, he could then be approached by one of those, heading into the new season as a development driver, and then obviously in the future can possibly be promoted into the Pro Series itself. So it's definitely, key for him to put as much effort into it as he can and really show what he can do, because I think, last season in the E-Series he took a couple of pole positions when there was still some of the esports drivers in there. So he's shown he can do it, but now he's going to do it against 19 other esports drivers, not just about 3 or 4.
Yeah, he certainly does. The challenge will be well and truly on for a considerable amount of our drivers this afternoon. We've had a look at our lineups, and now let's go and have a look at how our championship was decided, at least for the title. Jano, we're there with 93 points to his name. 32 points further behind is Danny Berejne. Tom Manley in P3, joint P3 of course, with Otis Lawrence, both them tied on 56 points. It's Lee, Ronhar, Blakely, Hoffland, Fashi and Longay that make up your top 10. And then the remainder of the field: Boromond, Pookie, Rasmussen, Benham, Barrett, Butcher, Gal, Caraton, Hughes and Denoso heading into our final round here this afternoon. And we'd be very, very silly not to mention what a fantastic season Jano Opmer's had.
Yeah, it's been pretty much dominant, hasn't it? I mean, I know that Berejne is only 30 points back, but obviously with our point system working where you only get 16 points for a win, it does show, how many points Jano's really got over these past 11 rounds. That's averaging, 8 or 9 points a race, which is very, very good indeed. I think he's only had a 1 win, this season, or is 2 or 3, I can't remember fully. But yeah, it's been a really good season. And I mean, everyone behind him as well. Berejne down to, Fasher, that's 21 points. All so close behind Jano. If this is the type of thing we'll expect to see when we get to esports, whenever it begins, we could be in for a really, really good season, because everyone is so close together, bar Jano Opmer.
Yeah, very much so. And as we've previously said, Jano Opmer signing with Red Bull Sim Racing over the last few months, and his partnership alongside Freddie Rasmussen is looking incredibly strong heading into that F1 Sim Racing Championship. And speaking of team standings, well, as to be expected, Red Bull Racing top the charts at the moment with 120 points. But it's not said and done quite yet, as Kick, obviously the team partnership of Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronhar, are only 16 points behind. So completely chaseable here in our final round.
Yeah, definitely. I think 29 points can be scored by a team over a weekend, of course, a first and a second, and then a fastest lap point. So we'll see if Kick can try and take that P108 from Red Bull Racing. But as we say that, we're just about to head our way into the Q1 session, and we'll see if anyone decides to start at the back.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Before we head into that, I'll remind you of where we're racing this afternoon. Welcome to Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. 3.281 miles and 16 turns. 2 DRS zones for our drivers to try and contend with over the course of this Grand Prix. The usual suspects, of course, full qualifying coming your way in the next couple of moments. And then we head into a 50% race to finish off what has been an almighty season here in PSGL.
Of course, heading our way now into the session, we'll see what the drivers are capable of doing. I mean, Q1, it's always an interesting one, because when you have a grid which is so close, you never really know who's going to go out in that Q1 session. I mean, I think every week we've always seen a bit of an outsider go out in Q1 or go out in Q2. So these first laps matter a lot more than people actually think, because you do a run here, of course, the track limit's very strict. You do one run, it could be a decent lap. But if you make a mistake on your second and third run, or just your second run, depending what you choose to do, that could be your session over. So you've got to make sure that you're on the limit at every single point when you're on a hot lap. And we do have a couple of cars just heading out onto circuit.
Yep, it does look that way. We now play the wonderful colour guessing game trying to figure out who's heading out on track. There are a lot of dark colours under the night sky here in Abu Dhabi, and hopefully, there we go, I've got it correct. Alvaro Caraton will be the first driver heading out this afternoon under the tunnel, which of course leads, well, crosses underneath turn number 1 and out on towards the circuit. Behind him, I'm assuming, will be his teammate Ismail Fassi down in P15, and again, absolutely correct with myself.
Yeah, certainly. It's always a task, isn't it, trying to figure out who's who on circuit. But I noticed that there is actually quite a couple different colours here, so it might make it a little bit easier here tonight. But of course, we haven't been here at Abu Dhabi since season 34, if I remember correctly, where we saw that brilliant ending of the championship between Jarno Opmeer and Barry Burrand, where Brendan Lee popped himself up into second in the championship after taking a victory, and neither Barry or Jarno scoring points. So Brendan Lee's got some sort of a heritage around this circuit, and of course Jarno winning a championship here. I think we're definitely in for an interesting evening, and I just saw there Alvaro and Isma deciding to take out the brake marker boards heading out to some of the corners.
Yeah, I wonder if there is a tactic going on here from the Williams team, trying to distract and potentially put off some of the other drivers. Of course, Thomas Runhan not taking part in qualifying tonight. That's why he's got that disqualification. So we'll be starting from the back of the grid. I have a feeling there will be a couple of other drivers heading that way as well. But whatever the Williams team are doing here, just getting a feel. Ooh.
Yeah, Freddie's spot in the pit lane.
Trying to switch over to, I don't know if that was intentional or not. Obviously, he's on the intermediate tyres, about to head out for their practice runs, their first attempts at the circuit. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, certainly. And I saw again Alvaro right up the wall this time. Could have got a bit of damage, smashed into the wall to destroy the brake marker boards down to turn 1. So, I mean, luckily none of them have got line on, so they don't have to worry in that regard. But I think they might be moving them just in case they're running to them on a lap and it could disrupt someone. I don't have a clue at all. I never saw it happen that often before. But yeah, Freddie, not sure what happened there at the pit lane. It looks like he just span it round. He was half span in the pits, blocking it. So luckily, didn't get a disqualification, because I've seen that happen a couple of times here and also on the PlayStation side, where if you block the pit lane by being really slow, you'll get a disqualification, which is certainly very odd indeed. But we also see Otis Lawrence as well out on circuit, of course, here in the Aston Martin. Certainly excited to see what he can do tonight.
Very much so. Promising young talent, of course, here in the F1 sim racing space, making an eagerly anticipated return or signing to Aston Martin in the last few months, and now finds himself in amongst the best of the F1 sim racers in the world. And as you saw from our standings just mere moments ago, he's tied up there within the top 4, so an almighty rise for the young Welshman.
Oh, and Ismail Fassi spins it at turn 13 as well, went completely round. Of course, very hot on those intermediate tyres, and unfortunately span the car, but luckily it doesn't end up being DNF, because that will be the worst way you'd want to exit Q1 with a DNF on track on the intermediate tyres, as he drifts his way back into the pits. And then we got obviously Freddie and Otis on track, and then of course those two will head back into the pits and then strap on a set of the soft tyres to take them for their first proper, runs in this session. And I expect the times to be rather close. We're in the 121s, I believe, which is still relatively short compared to some laps. So I still expect the probably top 20 to be within, well, top 19 to be within, 3 or 4 tenths maybe?
Yeah, maybe even closer. We just caught Freddie Rasmussen there, bouncing off the barriers or the curbs as he headed through turn 7 on towards this back straight down towards turn number 9. If you are new, of course, to PSGL and or F1 sim racing and asking why drivers are heading out on the intermediate tyres, it's normally just so they can get a good run into the circuit, make sure all their equipment is working perfectly, and then of course they don't have to waste a set of the soft tyres. Essentially, they don't burn a good set of tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in other leagues, I know where you have multiple drivers retire from Q1 and you go straight into Q2, you can, of course, just run loads and loads of soft tyres as you have them stored. But obviously here, where we have the full Q1, you can't always just be burning soft tyres, because by the time you get to Q3, you'll have none. And I mean, the last thing you want is to go into a Q3 session with only used tyres, because it puts you at such a disadvantage as well. And because the track has evolved so much over the session, having used tyres there will definitely harm you more than it would at the start of a Q1 session, where the track is still trying to rubber in. But Brendan Lee, I was watching him earlier on, took the old layout down to turn 5, went down the old chicane that was there pre-2021. So yes, he's also making use of his intermediate tyres by taking an old layout as he heads his way back, well, I presume back into the pits, as no, he goes very wide. What's he trying to do? Very weird there from Brendan Lee.
I'm not
But
sure
no, he heads
he
back
was-
into the pits.
I'm not sure he was convinced whether he was going into the pits there at the end or not, but everybody does dive back in. We've got 12 minutes on our qualifying clock here left in this Q1 session. 4 drivers will be at risk once that clock, well, ticks its way down to 0, once the checkered flag flies here in this session, and it will be a matter of moments before drivers head out on the soft tyre, albeit Freddie Rasmussen actually has got the mediums on for the current moment.
Yeah, well, I suppose yet again not wanting to burn the soft tyres, but big thank you to Carter Lundy as well for the $2.79 in Canadian dollars, I do believe, supporting the hard-working men and women at PSGL. Thank you very much, Carter. Great to have you in here. Of course, if you don't know who Carter is, guys, he was here a long, long time ago, many moons ago. Used to race here in PSGL. I'm not sure if he was in F1, but I do know he raced in F2 on many occasions.
Yeah, I think he certainly did race it. Well, F2 multiple occasions, as you said. Unsure whether he made it to the heights up here in F1. We are just moments away from getting into that qualifying session. And now, Nathan, obviously, the time is decreasing. We're nearly halfway through this Q1 session. Obviously, if people have watched maybe some league racing before, why are they waiting so long to go out and do their opening laps?
I mean, I suppose there's many reasons. I think, first of all, everyone likes to go out, I'd presume, when the track's evolving more. I mean, I presume it'll evolve over a session, even if cars aren't out on track, because that's the way the game works. But also, it just saves time, doesn't it? You know, you haven't got to go out early, because then you've got such a big break before you can go out again. You can go out, do a lap, get back in, and go out again. I mean, there's probably more of an in-depth reason, maybe something to do with the physics that I wouldn't know about, because I don't league race. But yeah, you know, they always go out around that 10.5-10 minute mark, get a lap in, get straight back into the pits, and go again. And I mean, sometimes you do see people go out maybe around 11 or 12, just if they want to do 2 runs. I mean, tracks like Austria, you can afford to go for multiple runs on one set, whereas tracks like this, Abu Dhabi, you go for 1 lap and that's it.
Yep, absolutely correct. And it's one of those where they time them almost to perfection. They'll have had drivers running all throughout the week, just making sure that the timing is optimal for them. They don't have to worry about ghosted traffic, of course, because the entire session is ghosting on. So they can just do their perfect runs. Yes, they maybe will have a little bit of distraction for some of our drivers. Obviously, having a ghosted car in front of you won't necessarily be the most ideal factor. But you don't have to worry about being blocked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have saw penalties though in the past for a visual interference, so they've also got to make sure that they are getting out of the way of the cars. But I mean, it just does get rid of that factor of the fact of you could crash into someone. Ghosted, it doesn't matter. If someone blocks you, you're going to go straight through them. Yeah, it might be annoying, but you're not going to have to worry about losing your session. I mean, we saw a couple of seasons ago, on many occasions, people are in the way, they'll just smash into you. And that's your own fault then, they're not bothered. We saw that on many, many occasions, but now luckily they can just drive their laps and not worry whatsoever. But we do have a couple of cars now heading onto circuit, the first one being Otis Lawrence along with Barry Burman as well in the Ferrari. So we'll see what sort of laps these two can do. But of course, Barry was in the title fight in season 34 when we raced here in Abu Dhabi last time out. So I'm sure this track will bring him back some many memories because we haven't been there since. So it's his first time since he fought for that championship here at Abu Dhabi.
It certainly is indeed, as you said. Quite a few other drivers out for their opening runs. Freddie Rasmussen still deciding to stick with the medium tyre for his opening hot laps, and I have been corrected. Carter Lundy did in fact make it to the pinnacle of PSGL, so that was probably before my time in the league racing commentary scene. I'm not calling him old, I'm just saying that probably before my time. Why did Ron Hart DSQ? I believe it was a penalty. I can happily stand corrected on that, but he will be taking no further part in qualifying. We've got 17 out of 19 out on laps at the moment. I believe it's Van Pookie and Joris just cresting out of the pit lane there. And as he said, the time has come alive, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to go qualifying.
We certainly are. And the first one to start a lap will be Otis Lawrence now, heading down into turn 1, braking just before that 50-metre ball, get the car hooked up and hit the curb on the inside and then get back on the power straight away, heading up towards turns 2, 3 and 4. Then a bit of a downhill down towards the infamous turn number 5. Yet again wanting to brake around 50 metres into that braking zone. Use all the curb you can on the entry to the corner. Hit the apex on the inside. Run wide on the exit as you head your way down to turn 6, of course. Now, having that DRS to use to give you a bit more of an advantage down the back straight into the next chicane. Wanted to brake around the 100-meter board. Get your car right onto the curb to use all the track that you can. Get the car turned in nicely, of course, carrying as much speed through the corner than on the exit back on the pair. Once again, heading down to turn 9.
Yep, absolutely correct. Down towards turn number 9, the swooping left-hander the drivers will have been practicing all throughout the week. Of course, purple sector 1 here for Otis Lawrence. We expect nothing less, being the first driver out on a set of the soft tyres. And let's see where the young Welshman stacks up as he heads through the third and final sector. Lots of corners to come for him to navigate here, more so than the opening 2 sectors combined, if memory serves me correctly. And in towards turn 15 and 16, 2 more to navigate for Otis Lawrence. He'll come around the final corner. No DRS, of course, on the start-finish straight. And across the line he comes. Where's he going to go for the benchmark? It's a 1:21.3. Behind him, Barry Burmond will come across the line, 1:21.2. And here come the times.
Next to come through will be Tom Manley in P5 at the moment, of course. We're there to lap. We'll see what can Tom Manley do. Normally very strong here in qualifying. To the line he goes, and he'll go into P3 with a 21.517. More times are coming through now. We'll try and figure out who's at the final sector here. Josh Edo to the line. He goes into P4 there with a 21.5. And Freddie Rasmussen on the mediums goes up into P5 and beats Julian Klaffenbach's time there of a 21.658. Ben Shabakonyi into P8 now, as that will be Ishmael Fassi up into P2. They're only 1,000th behind the back of Barry Burman, and Duncan Hoffman goes up into P7. Joris Crozen there into P4, I believe, here on debut, and we'll go on board here with Brendan Lee heading through into turn number 16. Now the final corner on this circuit, what will it be here for Brendan Lee? It'll be a 1:21.565.
Yep, time's not done quite yet, though. We've got everybody coming through the third and final sector. Across the line just there, Jake Bedham up to P5 on his first run attempt. Next across the line, I believe would have been, I'm trying to find them on a map, Danny Berejne up to P4, and now it's Van Pookie who invalidated their run, so won't get a time on the board, very similar to Alvaro Caraton, and of course Angelo, who's making their, well, I'm going to say their debut here in PCF1. It's not the best start so far, maybe that's nerves.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, you're going to be a little bit nervous, aren't you? Your first time here racing against some of the greatest in the scene. I mean, Angelo, I presume, would have been watching league racing for a long time, and he would have seen many of these on his stream, you know, watching PCF1, and now he's here taking part. Of course, he's going to be a little bit nervous, but I've got to say, a very nice time there from Joni Tormela up into the top 7. Not always a point scorer here in PCF1, so nice to see him within a couple of tenths of the top time, but it just shows how clear so far that Barry and Ishmael are, being over a 10th clear of Otis Lawrence in P3, and then another half a tenth back to Danny Brezhne in 4th.
Yep, indeed. Times have come thick and fast. 16 out of 19 setting early lap times here. Everybody, as to be expected, peeling back in towards the pit lane. A fresh set of tyres is in order, and then they will get ready to go again. Interesting, as you said, Freddie Rasmussen qualified on the medium tyre. Here finds himself down in P12 at the moment. And Otis Lawrence deciding that he has done enough in this Q1 session to see himself safely through.
Ooh, it'll be close, but then again, I say that every time, and normally they end up getting through quite easily, but it just depends what people can do on their final runs. I mean, Jano Otme is not in the best position at all. I mean, he's got the championship wrapped up, but he'd still like to be through into Q2 currently. P14, second to last of the runners that have set a lap time, of course. Ben Shabakonyi at the rear of the field with a 1:21.731. He's just over, just under half a tenth away from Barry Burman, so he definitely needs to find some time on his lap. And also Istvan, Alvaro, and Angelo still without a lap time here in this session. And as well, talking about Ronhart, I believe he retired, well, got the DSQ because he wanted to start from the back. I'm sure we kind of put a message in earlier saying that if you do want to start from the back, DSQ your car.
Yeah, I think, yeah, as you said, if anyone isn't qualifying, DSQ in Q1 early on, and that is the instruction that Thomas Ronhar has followed to the letter. So, we've had 4 more retirements since then. Barry Burman, Ishmael Fassi, Otis Lawrence, and Danny Berejne, all deciding that their laps will see them through to Q2. 3 minutes and 2 seconds left on our qualifying clock, and I think we're going to see the other 14 drivers about to head out in the next few minutes, or other 15 drivers heading out in the next few moments. They will not feel safe quite yet, especially our bottom 4. Of course, that is Bence, Istvan, Alvaro, and Angelo. Those drivers really at risk. Well, not risk, but definitely in danger of taking an early shower.
Yep, they certainly are. I mean, a little bit surprising there between Danny and Yoris, both within 10 thousandths of a second, and one chooses to retire, the other one chooses to go, well, I presume to go out again. So we'll see if that can help Yoris or not help Danny Berejnik, because obviously they can't go again, the top four, whereas everyone else will be able to go out, as we do see here. Alvaro Carreton, we've got Shanika Clay, Frederick Rasmussen, all going out onto circuit. But I've got to say, for a lap on the mediums, that was not bad at all there from Freddie Rasmussen, beating a couple of those and matching Brendan Lee on a harder compound of tyres. So we'll see, maybe he can come and take the top spot here at the end of Q1, but I expect many of the top four's laps there to be beaten, as Joris Krozen also thinks he will be safe heading out of Q1 and going, hopefully, into the Q2 session. But what I've got to say, it's either his debut or maybe his second or third race. Joris Krozen is absolutely on fire here on the F124 game.
He certainly is indeed. Of course, himself and Otis Lawrence both stepping in as reservists for this afternoon's racing endeavours, and both of them so far beating out a considerable number of names within the F1 sim racing community. They'll be very happy with their opening runs this afternoon. Of course, it's not over until it's over. They've still got 2 more qualifying sessions to deal with, and they will have that infamous pole position to try and chase. But Shannon Clay will set us up and set us racing, or at least qualifying, for our final runs here in Q1. Let's see what Clay can do.
Of course, it will be great to see Shanika Clay make his way through to Q2 and Q3. He's a driver that's been in the scene for a very, very long time indeed. Of course, now operating under R8G and here in the Haas liveries. He's on the Haas team for this championship as, well, that might be his session over. We hyped it up and he got an invalidation down at turn number 1. That certainly isn't ideal, but we'll have Tom Manley now on a lap, another driver. That is always really good in qualifying, always in and around that top 5, if not the top 10. We'll see what he can do as he heads his way down to turn number 5 to enter the first sector, up by just under half a tenth. But then again, sector 1's only really one corner, so you can't always get too much out of that first sector. Heading down with some DRS now, down to turn number 6. Of course, you can gain a lot of time in this second sector, especially this chicane here at turn 6 and number 7. Of course, wanted to use all the track as possible. Heading into the chicane, of course, a little bit slidey there from Tom. Probably could have managed that a little bit better, but still will probably find an improvement on his previous sector 2 as he heads his way now down to turn number 9. Of course, moving all the way to the right-hand side. Get the car thrown in. He's up by 3,000, so I think he'll be safe either way, but certainly not a big improvement in his round at turn 9, the exit.
Yeah, unfortunate for Tom Manley there. That will also see an end to his session if everybody behind him continues to improve. So next to cross the line, I'm going to assume, will be Julian down in P15 as things stand. He'll come up through the final sector, turns 15 and 16 to navigate. And this will be looking to gain safety at the moment down in P15. He's got to get up a considerable amount of positions to do so. Crosses the line, and it is P9, just below Tom Manley. Freddie Rasmussen goes P3 on his opening or second run. Josh Edo in P5 for the Alpine team, almost confirming safety there for himself. Next couple of drivers around, Alvaro Carreton can only go 7th fastest on their second time of asking. Bench couldn't improve down in P17. Brendan Lee up to P8, now P9 as it's Van Pookie knocks him down as they slot themselves into P5. Next couple of drivers across the line, Duncan Hoffland knocks Brendan down to P10 as he takes up P9. And I believe Jake Benham still in P13 as Angelo cannot improve down in P18. So Tom Manley, of course, will peel into the pit lane, and that will be the end of Q1.
And what a lucky man that Tom Manley is there, of course, not getting that final lap in and only made it through by 1,000th of a second. It was a 5.17 for him and a 5.18 for Julian Klaffenbach. Very dangerous position for him indeed, as he just see his car head back into the pits, and we'll see the final classification from the Q1 session when it decides to load.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see it in the next couple of seconds. Well, as the game asks, we will please wait. At least it's being very respectful with us. I don't think we're going to be able to see it before the session ends, unfortunately. So we'll have to try and remember, of course, Thomas Ronhart will be starting from the back of the grid. Angelo qualifying down in P18. And they are the only two that I remember from that qualifying session. So if your name, or well, the name of your favourite driver is missing from Q2, we'll make the assumption that they've been knocked out in Q1.
Yeah. It was, I think, Julian Shanika, Angelo Bench, and Thomas, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Hey, I'll take that. Very good remembrance indeed. I mean, I'll forget it when we get to Q2 and Q3. That'd be too much to remember. But here we are, 15 minutes to go in this Q2 session. Cars, as usual, going out immediately for their first runs. And I mean, you look at this Q2 session here and you think, well, who can't make it into Q3? I can't see a name that shouldn't be in Q3 here.
Absolutely correct. There is not a name in this top 15. And to be fair, there's not a name in the top 20 that shouldn't be making it through to Q2 either. That's how close this grid has been, not only throughout the course of the season, but if we look back historically as well. PSGL has had one of the tightest grids at the top end of F1 sim racing. And if you ask me to pick a name out of who's going to not make it through to Q3, I'd probably have to pick a name out of the hat.
Yeah, definitely. I'd probably have to pick 5 names out of the hat because I can't name one driver that shouldn't be making their way into Q3. But I've got to say, a driver that I will be keeping my eye on, he's certainly Joris Krozen. We mentioned him a couple of times already, but, you know, he's definitely got a very bright future indeed. I mean, over in WOR last season, well, 3 seasons ago, I remember him being in Tier 2 and barely winning the championship at one point. Now he's obviously over in Tier 1 there. He's F1 here as a reserve and also was second in the championship in F2 last season. He's certainly building up a portfolio that will be recognised by many of the greats in the future. But also, yet again, we've got some of our veterans, haven't we, here in this lobby? We've got lots of Brendan Lee, Danny Barishney, Jarno Otmir, you know, drivers that have been here for so long. It's great to see such a mix now that we've got drivers that have been here since the start, and we've got drivers that are very new, or newish, battling with them so heavy. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like the changing of the guard. If anyone's ever been to London, watch the changing of the guard. Of course, the old guard goes out and the new one comes and takes its place. And this is what we're starting to see in the F1 sim racing scene. The new drivers that are coming in with exceptional pace and talent. And it's such an amazing thing to see over the course of a season or two.
Yeah, it certainly is. But we do have a few cars now starting their laps, and this time she'll go on board of Jarno Otmir as he heads his way through into turn number 2. Of course, our champion of this season has been dominant for this season and many of the other past seasons that he's taken part in. And now heading down to turn number 5, he goes to 17.3 for the first sector, and I believe many of the drivers will be on a used set of the tyres. Some of them might go for a new set, but it just depends what sort of allocation they've got taking them through into Q2 and into Q3 as we head our way down to turn 6 at the chicane. Once again, of course, get the car turned in nice and early. Of course, tyre grip very high on this game, so you can pretty much just turn the car in and it will do it very easily and very responsive here so far by Jarno Otmir's car as he heads his way down to turn number 9, where we'll see the end of Sector 2 conclude. A 52.3 will be his first and second sector combined, and then into, in my opinion, TK, from what I've driven, this is one of the most horrible sectors of a track to drive because it's so difficult to get it right and to carry as much speed through as possible.
Yeah, this double left-hander notoriously difficult for drivers to try and contend with. Joris goes quicker, immediately taken away by Otis. Lawrence 21.9 on the board. Ishmael Fassi also joining in the 21.9s. Brendan Lee with a 121.7 for the opening run. Jarno Otmir slots into P2, and this is where the times will start to come thick and fast. Freddie Rasmussen actually only down in P9 as things stand. Make that P10 as everybody else starts to come across the line. But there's 3 or 4 drivers, Tom Manley, Barry Burmond and Yoni Tormula, who are yet to come out here, Nathan.
Yeah, deciding to stay in and probably just go out on a new set later on, as we do see Danny Barishney here in the Mercedes. Head to the line, he goes into P9 and puts for, at the moment, Frederick Rasmussen into the drop zone, of course, with a 22.3 is rather off what times we were setting back in Q1. I think nearly a second off what we were setting back in Q1. So we'll see, of course, what he can do later on in this session as we will now see everybody head back into the pits, get on a new set of the tyres and go out again, probably in a couple of minutes' time. And then, of course, that's when we'll see Tom, Barry and Yoni also head out onto circuit and set their first laps of the Q2 session. Yeah, but we've just over 10 minutes to go. I expect we'll see 2 runs and maybe 3 if you can put a bit more fuel in, depending, obviously, if you're one of those that isn't too confident of making your way through into Q3.
Yeah, you have that opportunity to just switch it out sometimes. Maybe go for a bit of a banker run. Have that insurance policy behind you, if you will. And, well, let us know who you're rooting for in the live chat. Whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're watching on Twitch as well. Both those platforms. Let us know in the live chat who you're supporting and who maybe you want to end up on pole position. And don't forget to let us know where you're watching from as well. It'd be fascinating to see where everybody's tuning in from this evening.
It certainly would be. I mean, you know, we have people from so many different parts of the world here tuning in and watching league racing. I mean, you know, we have a lot of people here from Europe, you know, the UK, the Netherlands, Germany, but it's so amazing to see people from so many different parts of the continent taking part as well in the racing. We've got so many drivers from so many different places on the field. I mean, Barry Burman, I believe, from somewhere in the Middle East. We got Johnny Tormler, Finnish. We got Tom Manley from the UK, Danny Bergene and Istvan Pukki from Hungary, Alvaro Isma over in Spain, and obviously Josh Eder as well over in Wales. So there's drivers from so many different places here on the grid, and also watching in the chat. And you can just see the countries flying through. So many. It's great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic to see. So let's check in with our chat as we see Barry Burman heading out for their outlap. It's Phoenix Silver says they're supporting Jarno, Blake, Ellen Woods. Similar, the champion, of course. Jarno, of course, securing that last time out. Thor says he's rooting for Berejne from the Philippines. Lasam Duma, I apologise if I get that wrong, watching from South Africa. Phoenix says they're from Nigeria. Blake Ellenwood from the USA. And I won't repeat what Graco has just put in the chat as well. But we're ready always to go for our second runs here in Q2. 3 drivers yet to put a lap time on the board. And it is pretty much a do or die run for them at the moment.
It certainly is, and those 3 are out on circuit at the moment. Barry down at, well, on his way to turn 9. We've got Yoni heading down to turn 6, and Tom Manley just down at turn number 5. So they're spread out, but they're all on track now, looking to set their first times of the session. And I say, I do love the livery that Johnny Tormler's running. Of course, over in G2 now, where he takes part in the Alpine. He's now got a very nice Alpine esports livery. It would be nice if all the cars had their esports liveries on, especially considering we're using the obviously we're using the F1 World cars for now. But of course, at least we know what team Johnny's in for sure as he heads his way through into turn 9 and into turn number 10. And I believe the first one to set a lap will be Barry Burman now, TK, just heading out to the final corner.
Yep, it will be indeed. Crosses the timing beam and will get going on their opening run in this Q2 session. We'll keep an eye as we head through the twists and turns. And as you said, it'd be so fantastic if we could have all the liveries for the multiplayer cars. But some of the drivers have been very fortunate with us. Of course, Barry Burman doing a very iconic Scuderia red for us to try and identify. Of course, Brendan Lee stepping in with the lime green for the Kick Sauber F1 team. And everybody else, I mean, if you look at Otis Lawrence, British Racing Green for the Aston Martins.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, it's pretty much identical to the Aston Martin livery. I really love it. I mean, I think the Aston Martin, people will call me boring, but it might be my top 3 livery on the grid. It's simple and it does the job. I really do love the Aston Martin Green. And of course, Otis joining the team very recently, and certainly a mega signing for Aston Martin to have a driver such as Otis Lawrence, of course. Newish to PC, started, I think, the start of F1 22 a couple of years ago, and looking to hopefully start his first F1 esports season. And I expect Otis to be one of those that is constantly within the top 5, top 6. He's got a lot of pressure on him, though. That is one thing that Otis has got, because he's done so well in league racing. He's always at the top. He's got a lot of pressure going through if he does take part in an F1 esports season. So league racing like this, all it will do is just keep increasing his confidence more and more.
Certainly will. Barry Burman, speaking of confidence, that's the fastest lap time here of the Q2 session, over half a second quicker than Brendan Lee did on the opening run. Of course, maybe compare that to new versus used tyres as Otis Lawrence joins him in the 121 club. Next across the line, I believe, will be Ishmael Fassi going even quicker, 121. 137. So the times are starting to increase. Johnny Tomila as well, putting in a 121.3. Tom Manley, the only driver at the moment who hasn't set a valid lap time, rounds the final corner as Jarno Otmir puts himself up to P4. Tom Manley can only go P6.
Yeah, not the best there from Tom Manley, as Joris Krozen also has an invalidation, so he won't improve. As we do see there, Josh Eder go up into P4, I believe, just behind Otis Lawrence and Freddie Rasmussen. Where can he go to the line? Goes up into P5 there with a 0.215, and that knocks Brendan Lee down into the drop zone, but he is heading through into the final corner. And we'll see what can Brendan Lee do. Currently on a 21.7, should easily improve into the 0.2s and goes into P7 there with a 121.279. So for now, our bottom 5, well, was that Duncan Hoffman there and Danny Bergene making their improvements. It now drops over a Caraton, Yoni Tormina, Tom Manley, Jake Benham and Joris Krozen out of Q2 at the moment, but of course they have got a lap to go. And surprisingly, Yoni and Tom both have got the exact same lap time, similarly to Otis and Josh.
Yeah, certainly did. I actually didn't notice that for a second, but Yoni and Otis setting their lap times first, hence why they are higher up on your leaderboards. If you aren't too aware of how all this qualifying malarkey works, especially for real life racing, if a driver sets an equal lap time, the driver that sets it first will be the one that is on top of the timing screen. Ishmael Fassi, Barry Burham and Otis Lawrence expectedly back into the pits then, as we have 4.5 minutes ready to go for the final run of this session. We'll keep our eyes peeled for any drivers heading out for a late break. And as you said, that bottom 5, I think we'll have to go, well, we'll certainly have to go again. And they've got one shot to get this right.
Yeah, I think that forces nearly everyone to have to go again in this session. I think maybe Barry and Ishmael might be safe, but I think everybody else has to go again, considering that Alvaro Carson isn't, he's 1.5 tenths back from Otis. It isn't that big of a gap, as we have 4 minutes to go in this session. And as the famous Chris Buxton likes to say, it is the banzai phase of qualifying. Just under 4 minutes to go. The cars are going to be heading back out very, very shortly, and we'll see who will make their way through into Q3. And for the 5 drivers that are in the bottom 5, none of them deserve to be there, so it would be a big shame to see any of them out here. And I believe Alvaro Carreton was on the podium last time he raced here in Abu Dhabi back in season 34.
Yeah, I think you're right in what you're saying. And as you said, everyone being wheeled back in towards the pit lane. It's only a matter of time until we see drivers heading back out once again. A fresh set of tyres and getting ready to go. Qualifying 3 minutes and 15 seconds is what remains on our qualifying clock. Just enough time, according to all our engineers and our analysts, to go out for an out lap and then go out for a hot lap once again. And I reckon anyone down from probably Brendan Lee will have to go at least one more time, potentially even all the way up to Danny Berejny.
Yeah, definitely, because the times are so close heading into this session, heading to the end of the session. And I think the thing is, people like Otis and Josh might be safe, but it's a bit of an effect down, because if Freddie thinks he's not safe, he's got to go again. He can find an improvement, then that means Josh might not be safe, so he's got to go again. So that's how it works, you know. So it just depends who says no, we're not going again. All those above can also just say, yeah, we ain't going to bother, we're fine. So I do presume that Ishmael Fassi will retire, and Barry as well. No, he's going to go back out. So Barry Burman doesn't think he's safe, and because Barry's gone back out, I presume that everyone below him will. I think that's how it should work here in this session.
That is absolutely fascinating. The driver who finds himself in P2 at the moment, albeit in safety by about 0.2 of a second, which in itself is a paper-thin margin, doesn't feel that he's safe for this Q2 session, is heading out. And I wonder if Ishmael Fassi is maybe a little bit overconfident heading into the end of this session.
Could be. I mean, we've seen it happen before. I mean, Nicholas Longe is one of them to do that. He will go and retire and then end up right on the brink, if not out, in one of the sessions. I've seen that happen to him a couple of times before. And we'll see if it will happen to Ishmael Fassi, but hopefully he can head his way into Q3, because if he was to be dropped out, that wouldn't be nothing to do with his pace. It would be the fact he just misjudged his retirement, as we do see Jarno Opmeer, our final car, to go out onto circuit to complete, will begin his out lap 4, his final run here in Q2. And of course, first out, I believe, will be Tom Manley. Of course, made a mistake here at turn 9 on his final lap in Q1. If he does that in Q2, he will certainly not be finding his way into the next qualifying session. So he's got to make sure that he nails every corner here on his lap. He's got about a tenth to find to get into the drop zone, and then he probably needs to get another couple to be clear of not going back into the drop zone. As he heads his way through into turn number 15 and 16, we'll see what can Tom Manley do.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Tom Manley as he heads through this lap. We'll ride on board with him, at least from our broadcast cameras, for the duration of this lap. And as he said, he's got to find, I reckon, about 0.2 of a second to find somewhat of safety. It depends on how everybody behind him starts to improve as we continue through this Q2 session. 45 seconds is left on our qualifying clock as we run down towards turn number 5, on board with Tom Manley. Let's see what he can do on the second sector split, which will come up at the end just before turn number 9.
Yeah, of course, he's got to make sure he nails this turn 6, 7 chicane. It's all of the points on the track where you can gain the most time or lose the most time on your lap as he heads down there now. Nicely, a bit of a side, but gets the car hooked in nicely. Back on the power nice and early now as he heads his way down to turn 9. Very nice so far here by Tom Manley. And the question is, though, how much is he up by in that second sector? As he heads to the end of the second sector now, he's down by 14,000. So he needs a mega final sector here if he wants to make his way through into the Q3 session. He's got to find at least, I think, 2/10 if he wants to be in that top 10 by the end. And by the time everybody has set their laps now, heading through into turn 13, into turn 14 at the double left-handers, and then into two right-handers. We'll see. What will it be here for Tom Manley? Into turn 16 he goes. Is he going to be into the top 10 comfortably to the line? I don't think he will. He goes P9. I don't think that's enough, TK.
I don't think it is, indeed. We'll keep an eye as everybody else comes round on their laps. Joris from P15 up to P7. That puts Manley out of the top 10. We'll keep an eye on everybody else. Jarno Watmere, of course, our season champion, is just slightly improving through the second sector. He finds himself down in P12 at the moment. Istvan Pukki and Jake Benham stand in front of him. Benham comes around the final corner now. Can they get to safety? Yes, they can. That knocks Brendan Lee down in towards the danger area. Istvan Pukki just ahead of himself, rounding the final corner. Let's see if Istvan can get safety, knock Jake Benham out of safety. Yes, they can. P9 for themselves. Brendan Lee could only go P11 this time around. Jarno Watmere, who comes towards the line. We wait with anticipation. And it is P8. It is safety for Jarno Watmere. He is through to the final qualifying session.
Very close indeed. I mean, we'll look at the final classification here of the Q2 session. It will be Ismail Fassi that set the quickest lap time ahead. Freddie Rasmussen in second, Barry Burman third, followed by Otis Lawrence, Danny Barishne, Josh Edo in P6, and then we have Duncan Hoffland, Jarno Watmere, Joris Krozen, brilliant from him, and Istvan Pukki in P10. And then we did lose Joni Tourmala, Brendan Lee, Jake Benham, Tom Manley, and Alvaro Caratotno. Just look at the gaps there, TK. 1.09 tenths of a second separates the top 10. 1.7 tenths of a second separates the top 15, and Joni Tourmala and Brendan Lee separated by just 1,000th of a second. So far, this has been mega close, and I mean, I've commentated over many different tracks, but Abu Dhabi, I didn't expect qualifying to be this interesting.
Yeah, 63 thousandths of a second. That is all that separated P15 from P10 there. Incredibly close margins in this qualifying session. And the top 10, or at least the 10 that made it through the opening two rounds, have got another 12 minutes to go here to see who's going to be starting on the front row of the grid. Everybody will be wanting to start from pole position. But who out of this top 10 will manage to start from the front row here in Abu Dhabi? Let us know who your predictions are on in the live chat, whether that be YouTube, whether that be Twitch. We are broadcasting back on both this evening.
Of course. And who do you think it'll be, TK? Go on, give us a guess. Give us a prediction.
I'm going to go a really bold prediction. I think Otis Lawrence is going to take pole position here.
I mean, he's done it before. He's done it many times. He's definitely always in for a shout at the top 5. I mean, it's a hard one to guess because there's that many people that can go for pole. I'm going to go with Ismail Fassi. I feel like tonight's his night here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I think you would be in with a solid shot with Fassi, of course, fastest in Q1 by 11 thousandths of a second. We have already got drivers out for their laps. Avatar saying Ishmael, Stefan saying Frederick, Josh saying Jarno. Well, mixed opinions in the live chat at the moment, and I don't think anybody quite knows where it's going to go. Mate says Danny, Jeremy says Barry, guys. Well, I think there's 5 different drivers there, so at least half the field at the moment have people betting on them. Duncan says Jice, and Timo says Julian. So everybody seems to be in with a chance.
Definitely. I mean, I've said Ishmael. You said Otis. That's, I think, most of the grid covered.
Yeah.
Jonas says George. Mate, is that why he's not here? Is he operating under one of these rigs?
To be fair, George Morgan is incredibly rapid at racing. He was on for pole position last time out in Brazil, but unfortunately had to commentate the rest of the qualifying. So we'll see. Chips and Gravy says Jake. Chikondi says Jarno. Let's go. Lol says I say Otis. I see it's Van Daru's in there. Daniel as well. Well, we'll keep an eye. Jeremy says Nathan for pole. Nathan, do you reckon you're going to end up on the top spot?
Easy. I mean, I did it at Sim Expo. Well, no, I got P4 at Sim Expo. So it's close enough, isn't it?
We'll take it close enough. Hydro, there we go. I've finally got one for myself for pole position with Hydro coming in. It's the pity one out of the 3 commentator choices this afternoon. Jean-Pierre, I won't know all that's about. Petru says Jarno. So I think a lot of drivers are in for a good chance. Evan on Twitch says might be a Barry pole. Well, we'll keep an eye out. We've got 9 minutes and 25 seconds to go. We are expecting still the 2 runs here in this Q3 session. And let's keep an eye on how it goes. Before our drivers head out for their final runs, Nathan, should we just run through how the championship looked at the end of last round?
Yeah, we can do. We'll have a look. So, of course, Jarno, 93 points, doing a brilliant job so far, isn't he? You know, he's been dominant all season. Danny Bergenet, 32 points back in second place on 61. But then you look further down, Manley and Lawrence both on 56. They're only 5 points away from Bergenet. Then you have Brendan Lee on 54, Ron Har on 50, Blakely on 46. And then, of course, Hoffland and Fassi as well, rending at the top 9 of Longay in the top 10. The gaps are very close. There's 21 points between P1 and P9.
Yeah, incredibly close in the championship. And as you said, with only 16 points being awarded for a race win, that makes it incredibly close between our drivers and adds all the more to the achievement that Jarno Opmeer has done this season.
It certainly does. I mean, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? Absolutely amazing. And then, obviously, down from P10, you got Burmand, surprisingly, in P11 on 36 points. That's certainly not where I expect to see him. Then, of course, Istvan Pukki as well in P12. Rasmussen as well, disappointing 13th. We've got Ben Barrett, Alfie Butcher, who I believe made his return 3 rounds ago. He's in P16 on 18 points after having back-to-back pole. Then we have Thomas Gale 17th, Caraton, Hughes, and then Fabrizio De Rosso. Definitely been a bit of a disappointing for him on 7 points only.
Yep. Unfortunate season for the drivers at the bottom of the table, but we'll switch back to the action here in Abu Dhabi, and Barry Burmand will take us away for the opening laps here in Q3. Nathan, why don't you take us through his opening run?
Let's have a look here what Barry Burman can do. Heading down to turn 5, of course, braking just before that 50-metre board. Get the car down to 4th gear. Hit the apex on the entry. Run wide on the exit as you head your way down to turn 6 now, of course. Using that DRS to your advantage here and using a little bit of battery, but not too much, so you don't run out of your allocation for the lap. Down at the 100-metre board here for turn 6. Get the car down to 3rd gear. Hop the curb on the inside slightly. Hop it again on the exit of turn 7. Then run wide and run along that curb as you open the DRS again. Down to turn number 9. Of course, a bit of a long run here in towards the 9th corner. Then want to bring the car all the way to the right-hand side. Get it turned in nicely. Throw the car in. Push it as much as you can to the inside of the corner. And then run it out wide on the exit as you're heading to the 3rd sector of the circuit. Down into turn 12. A heavy braking zone. Down to 3rd gear. You want to try and get the car through. Carry as much minimum speed through as possible without running too wide and losing your lap through turn 14. And now into the penultimate corner at turn 15. Get the car turned in nicely. And then the final corner, turn 16. Hop the curb on the inside, run wide on the exit. Up to the line he goes. It will be a 21.055. A nice banker here by Barry Burman.
Yep, certainly was indeed. Ismail Fassi will be the next one to cross that timing beam. Set a lap time here. It looks so fast in the opening sessions. And it's about 0.08 of a second slower than Barry Burman on the first time of asking. Josh Edo slots into P3, 121.5 to his name. Next around the corner will be, I believe, Duncan Hoffman. No, it will be his Otis Lawrence, who jumps himself up to P2. 11 thousandths of a second is what separates himself and Barry Burman at the moment. Freddie Rasmussen, slowest of the bunch at the moment. Must have been a mistake in there somewhere as Joris jumps up to P4 with their opening runs. Duncan Hoffland, P6, 121.7. Jarno Opmeer with a 121.9 for himself. That leaves just Istvan Pukki and Danny Berejnate to set their opening runs here on this session. Wouldn't be surprised if a lot of our drivers are using some used tyres here, Nathan.
Yeah, I think they certainly are, especially the likes of Duncan and Jarno on the 0.7 and 0.9s. And we'll see what the two Mercs can do. Istvan will go first to the line. It will be a 121.883, and Danny Bergenet has an invalidation, but it would have been a 121.254. So it would have been P4 there for Danny Bergenet. But so far, our top 5 is Barry Burman, Otis Lawrence, Ishmael Fassi, Joris Krozen, and Josh Edo as well. Josh doing a very good job here so far in the qualifying session. P5 at the moment certainly could be on a run for pole, but he has got to find a lot of time if he wants to try and contend with the top 3.
He certainly does indeed. And the gap between themselves, we'll pull up the gaps here. 11 thousandths of a second is what separates Otis Lawrence and Barry Burman between Ps1 and Ps2. 77 thousandths between Ishmael Fassi and Barry. And then you drop down in towards the 10ths territory. Joris 2.8 tenths, Josh Edo 4.9 tenths, and so on and so forth. And of course, Freddie Rasmussen, what we can only assume was a mistake with a 124.0, 2.9 seconds off the pace. And Danny Brezhnev has left himself an almighty task here. He won't necessarily have the best of runs at the end now.
No, he's going to have to be very rushed, I think, towards the end once he gets back into the pits, get on to a new set of tyres and go straight out for his final run here. And, well, his first time run, here in Q3, of course, without a lap time at the moment. Certainly not in the position that Danny Brezhnev would like to be. But then again, the same can go for the likes of Freddie, Jarno, Istvan, who are all on very dismal times at the moment and still rather far away from that pole position time of a 121.055. And guys, let us know in the chat, do you reckon we can drop into the 120.9s here? At the moment, we're only half a tenth away. So let us know, do you think we can get into the 120s?
I think we certainly can do. We only need 56 thousandths of a second for our drivers to find. And if there's anybody that can find lap time around the circuit, it's some of these drivers here at the moment. Andre agrees, yeah, easily in the YouTube live chat. And we got 3 minutes and 20 seconds exactly left in this Q3 session. Chips and Gravy also says for sure. And Nathan, I think I'm agreeing with chat.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe it was a bit of a silly question to ask, but you've got to hype up somehow, haven't you? As we haven't got long to go now until we can get underway with our final runs here of the Q3 session, and we'll see who will take pole position. My bet still on Ishmael Fassi, and TK still going for Otis Lawrence for his bet for pole, so we'll see if any of us are right. But so far, Barry Burman has proven us both wrong, and he's currently on that top position. As Andre does say that Barry did a 0.9 in WOR, so he's, still, a tenth-ish off of what we could see possibly from the drivers heading into their final runs. But we do have a couple of cars now, TK, just heading out onto track.
Yeah, we do indeed. Barry Burman will be following out. I'll just wait for the confirmation because it's one of the cars with the dark liveries. I'm not going to try and make a fool of myself. It is Otis Lawrence that heads out first and foremost, decides he isn't done standing on ceremony and wants to run through for himself. Down towards turn number 5 he'll go. And now it is all important matter of heating those tyres up, getting the temperature ready before he sends that car for the next 2.5 miles.
Yep, certainly not long to go here. And at this point, if you're Otis, Barry, anyone on circuit, you're definitely getting a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit of leg shaking heading on to your final run, knowing this is your last opportunity to fight for that pole. And wherever you finish here is where you will start heading into the Grand Prix. There's no more chances after this lap. Once you cross the line, that is it. That is your last lap, and that is your last chance to try and take pole positions. We do just wait here for Pookie to head out onto the track now, as he does a little bit further back from the others. Has to be a bit more rush on his out lap, but of course, just choosing to go out a little bit later than everybody else. So we'll see at the end, maybe going out later could be the way to go.
It certainly could be. Of course, track evolution ever increasing with the number of drivers heading over it, but we'll keep an eye on Otis Lawrence here. He'll lead our pack out through the double right-handers of turns 15 and turn 16. 16 can be a sneaky corner for a few of our drivers if it can catch you out if you're not fully prepared for it, but it is foot to the floor, and qualifying does well and truly commence now. 1 minute and 3 seconds left, and it is do or die for all of our drivers. Barry takes provisional pole position at the moment. 11 thousandths of a second separates himself and Otis Lawrence. Who's going to come out on top in the next few seconds?
We'll have a look here. Otis up by just under half a tenth in that first set to the closest challenger here at the moment to Barry Burman as he heads his way with the DRS into down to turn number 6. At the moment, he would be on for a 0.1. So he's definitely on a nice improvement indeed. Heading down to the braking zone, get the car turned in, and he's taken that very nicely here. Has Otis perfect through the chicane, and now DRS again down to turn number 9. What can he do in this middle sector? Can he find much of an improvement on his last middle sector? He's up by 61 thousandths at the moment. That's enough to try and take pole, but he's certainly got to find a little bit more so he can have that pole safely, because Barry will also, I presume, be on some sort of an improvement on his lap as well as we head our way to turn 12, turn 13, then into the infamous Latifi corner at turn 14, and he's taken this so far so well here for Otis Lawrence as he heads into turn 15 now, into the final corner. What will it be here for Otis Lawrence? Will it be a provisional pole position to the line? Yes, it will. A 120.923.
Yep, fantastic that from Lawrence there. Barry Burman, those 78 thousandths of a second quicker through the second sector. He turn number 16 here. come up towards the line. Is he going to go quicker? He comes across the line. No, he can't. And now we watch for our drivers to come across the line. Fassi could not improve. It's Freddie Rasmussen up to P4, 11 thousandths of a second, separating himself and the 120s. Josh Edo pips out Joris up to P5 this time around. Joris will come across the line now. He can't improve, or does improve by about 2/10, but not enough in terms of position. Danny Berejne up to P6 after going considerably quicker over that last run. Jan Otmir round to the final corner. Your season 37 champion could only go as good as 8th place. It's Duncan Hofland who goes up to P8, and now it's Van Pookie comes across the line. Where did that finish him?
P10. Bottom of the barrel here in Q3.
Wow, not the qualifying they would have liked. We'll run through your complete and finished order. Exactly the same lap time as Otmir there, actually, right at the end of the session. But of course, Otmir's setting it first, and that will mean he'll start ahead of himself. So our full rundown of Q3 is Lawrence from Boromund, from Fasci, from Rasmussen, from Edo, from Berejne, from Kurtzen, from Hofland, from Otmir, and from Pookie as your top 10, Nathan.
Close, very close, especially that top 4. And I've got to say, I do feel a little bit bad for Joris there, because I was on board with his lap as he went through sector 2. He was up by 3.5 tenths. He crossed the line up by just over 2. So he could have also been fighting for that top 5. But I've got to say, a very good qualifying indeed. And the top 4 very close together. So heading into the race, those 4 definitely will be fighting hard. But also great to see Josh Edo in the top 5. Not often we see him up there. So definitely he's going to be trying to make the most of that opportunity. And because I'm a bit of a rookie here, TK, I'm going to ask, how does it work? Do we leave the session or do we stay in?
Well, I normally stay in, but I have a feeling as host is migrating, we will probably change session in a couple of moments' time. But whilst we get underway and whilst we get ready to go racing, do not fear, ladies and gentlemen at home, it will be coming your way within the next 5-10 minutes. But until we do so, just a quick word from one of our sponsors. Well, thank you for your patience, as always. We appreciate this isn't necessarily the most fun time to look at our 2 beautiful faces whilst our drivers just get themselves prepped and ready to go again. But I can assure you, everybody is getting back into the lobby, getting prepped to go racing, and they are so excited. And, well, determined is probably a more appropriate word to try and win out the final race of this season.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, even if you're not in the run for a championship, it's still great, isn't it, to be going to the final race and possibly have the chance to win it. And if you do win it, even better. You can say I won a finale race here at PSGL, which I'm sure you would definitely love to put on your bragging rights. I mean, I know many drivers that certainly would here on this grid indeed, and some of them, like Freddie Rasmussen, wouldn't even be bothered. He probably wouldn't even remember it in 2 weeks' time.
Well,
so yeah, but we're getting everyone in quite nice and quickly.
We are indeed. And if you are just joining us here on the stream, we've got 29 laps of racing around the Yas Marina circuit to come. We'll just have a quick reminder of how our standings look if you are new in. Jarno Otmir, of course, securing the championship last time out from Berejne from Manley as your top 3 at the moment. Manley and Lawrence side on points with 56 apiece at the moment. Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronhard doing a great partnership work for the Kick Sounders down in P5 and P6 respectively. And then your top 10 remainders, Blakely, Hofland, Fasci and Longay. Your team standings at the moment. This is yet to be decided and will be decided this afternoon. Red Bull top the points with 120. Kicked behind them with 104. And then it's Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, VCarb, Aston Martin, Williams, Alpine and Haas. And one thing I didn't show you at the start of the stream was last week's results. Of course, Thomas Ronhart getting the win out in Brazil, just ahead of Jake Benham. Longay joining them on the podium. Lucas Blakely in P4. Fasci, Lawrence, Boromond and Otmir finishing in P8. And that was enough to secure the championship for himself. Rasmussen in P9 alongside Declan Barrett down in P10.
Definitely. Absolutely, and I've got to say, a bit of a dismal result for Alfie Butcher, wasn't it, last week out in Brazil? Of course, was on pole position for the second time in a row, and unfortunately had a couple of incidents within the race. I think he had, was it 2 incidents? I mean, I know we had an issue at turn 1, and then didn't he have an issue again sometime later in the race, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I think the CNRSs weren't necessarily his friends over the course of the last Grand Prix. How many laps have we got? We got 29 laps for you to all enjoy at home. So now is probably an ample time to grab a drink, grab some popcorn, lay back, relax, and get ready to go racing for our final race here in season 37 of PCF1. And who knows, it might be the last time we see these drivers until sim racing.
It certainly might be. I mean, bit of an unknown what's going to happen, but you know, you've got to make sure you get prepared for the unknown. But we'll just wait for one more driver to get in, and then we'll head our way into the lobby for the 29 lap race here in Abu Dhabi. And remember, guys, there's still 7 drivers in contention for P2 in the standings. We know it isn't, you know, as much as P1, but still, they're going to fight for it. They want to get finished P2. They, you know, if you get told, right, you P2 or you P6, which would you pick? You'd pick P2. So the drivers will be fighting hard for those positions. And of course, with some of the new drivers on the grid as well, Julian Klaffenbach, Joris Kroos, and Angelo D'Ortenzio, they're also going to be fighting so hard to try and score some points, especially Joris. P7 at the end of quali, could have been a P5 without his mistake in the final sector. He's certainly someone who's looking to score some decent points. Angelo, down in P18, he's got a lot of work to do, but you can't count him out at all. We've got 29 laps. That's about, what, 45-ish minutes of racing? He can easily make his way through into that top 10 if he plays his cards right and really puts himself into some confidence.
Very much so. It's one of those that it might feel like only 29 laps at the moment, but when you really get in there, it's not a massive amount of time for our drivers. Those laps will go by very quickly. They'll have had their discussions with their engineers, with their pit crews, or albeit virtual pit crews here this afternoon about what strategy is going to be the best for them to run on, and I'm almost sure of it that they will do a one-stop strategy here this afternoon. Apologies, words beginning to fail me already, which is not great as we're heading in towards the race. But everybody is in the lobby. That's the good news. The grid is just being set, and we're moments away from lights out. But Nathan, obviously we saw qualifying just a couple of moments ago. Who's your early prediction on for the race win?
Oh, it's hard because in a race, you know, you never really see the person on pole take the win. Looking through the names here, I'm tempted to go for a really, really bold one and say Thomas Ronner from 20th. But I feel like he could.
You stole the words exactly out of my mouth, and it would be an amazing back-to-back race win for himself if he is able to go from last to first.
But we'll see. I mean, it's possible. I think he's done it from near the back at least on a couple of occasions, I think, in the past, and not just here but over in other leagues as well. So maybe he could. We'll see. But then again, he's got to work his way through a lot of drivers at the start. It's about getting that pit strategy right, isn't it? If he can get a good pit strategy, maybe miss a couple of cars, that can really put him into a good position going to the end of the Grand Prix. But so he can say as well, Double Boy saying, I'm going to say Goaty for the win. Is that Otis, I presume?
Otis,
I don't know.
Otis Lawrence, I think, is the nickname that he's rightfully earned himself within the community. And I don't tend to hang this over people's heads, but my qualifying prediction was spot on.
Oh, wait. Did you? Oh, was it Otis that took pole, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh. There we go. I'm forgetting things already. I told you, didn't I? I'd remember Q1 results, the bottom 5, and then once we got to Q3, I'd forget everything. Oh, dear me. But yeah, 5 seconds to go, TK. We're going to head into the race. Oh, I can't wait. It's finale. That already makes the hype already so, you know, intense. And we got still a P2 on the battle on the line. We've got a championship for the constructors on the line. And also, we've got drivers who may want to get their first win.
They certainly will be trying to do so. And of course, don't forget, they will still be trying to impress some of the other teams. Don't forget our reservists that are stepping in this afternoon, still looking for those seats within the F1 esports scene. And tonight is certainly an opportunity for them to firmly grasp by the handles and see if they're able to run it through for the rest of the season and for at least for next season as well. But we are going to switch over to the race and to Abu Dhabi in a couple of seconds. Well, it's prep time. Hold on to your hats because this is going to be the finale.
Certainly will. I mean, we've got mediums and hards being used by all of them on the race director, but I'm sure that will change, and I expect a lot of hard tyres. But then when I say that, they'll go all mediums or something.
Yeah, you never know what our drivers are going to go on. Of course, it's not over. Well, they don't start until that checkered flag flies, until the green flag flies. but everybody just lining up on the grid. I kind of wish we could see the grid at this moment in time. That'd be a nice feature for EA to add for us. We could see over the grid with the engineers just standing there. That would be a lovely scene for us to see. But alas, no, we're stuck watching the pit lane at the moment. But it won't be long until we get ready to go. And we see those red lights illuminate above our drivers for the final time this season.
Who are you going for the win, Tico? Is it Otis, you said?
I think as I'm agreeing with Double Boy in chat. Even from P9, he can't count out a Yano win. So I'm going to go Yano from P9 to get the race win here. But we have got lights above our heads, ladies and gentlemen, for the final time in Season 37 here in PSGL. It's lights out and we go racing. It's a good pull away from our pole sitter of Otis Lawrence. He'll lead into turn number 1. And Barry Burman and Ismail Fassi will file in side by side. Freddie Rasmussen trying to nick inside as well as he enters the inside line for turns 2, 3 and 4.
As we head our way down to turn 5, a brilliant start here by Rasmussen, looking to make a move for third ahead of Ismail Fassi, with Josh Ito as well behind on the medium tyres. Everybody else but Josh and Yoni are on a set of the hards. Those two are on a set of the mediums as we head our way down to turn number 6 now. Rasmussen's looking to close in but can't quite find a move. Here comes Joshido on the inside here. Our Freddie Rasmussen looks to try and take that P4 and maybe even go and nick a P3 as they head into turn 6. He gets that P3 away from Ismail Fassi. Ismail can't find that one back as they head out of turn 6 and 7. As we see further back as well, Joris Krozen having a brilliant battle here with Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, Duncan Hoffland as well getting caught up in that battle. He was late on the brakes in towards turn number 6, and that's allowed him up to P8, just pipping out Yoni Tormula. There's a battle further back. Julian Klappenbach getting back past Alvaro Carreton in the opening few twists and turns of this Grand Prix. And lap 1 is almost over already, and Otis continues to lead from Barry, from Josh Ito, from Ismail Fassi in P4.
Oh, Nalvaro there nearly getting caught up by a couple of cars heading through into turn number 13 and 14. He sends it up the inside here of Klappenbach heading through into turn 15. That could have certainly ended badly for both of those two as we exit lap 1 and enter lap number 2. And still it is Otis Lawrence in the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Barry Burham and in second place. But Josh Ito will be on a charge here on the new set of the mediums. We'll be looking to try and make them work and see if maybe that medium to hard strategy could be the way to go here. It might not be, but Josh and Yoni have took a risk, and we'll see if it will gamble off as they head their way down to turn 5. And yet again, we do see Duncan Hoffman looking to make a move here on the back of Joris Krozen. But as we say that, Joris just gets closer and closer to Jarno Opmeer. We do see a battle at the back there. Alvaro Carreton losing him again. I'm not sure if he's got any damage there.
Yeah, not 100% sure. We'll try and have a look at that a little bit later on, but there's been a change for the lead of the Grand Prix. Barry Boromund has got up past Otis Lawrence. It's going to be a dive further back. I thought that was Joris going to go for a move down the inside, but it might actually be Julian Klappenbach up to P14. At the moment, the Scuderia leads from Otis Lawrence, from Josh as your front 3, but it doesn't look like Ismail Fassi is going to be standing on ceremony for much longer as we continue through.
Definitely, and at the moment it's the Iranian that leads the 2 Welshmen heading their way down into turn number 12, with Ismail Fassi closing in right behind. They head their way in very nicely to turn 12. I mean, we'll see probably no overtakes in this section because it's very hard to make an overtake, especially with these larger Formula 1 cars that the drivers have got to use. But Yoni Tormula's getting very close there to the back of Hoffland, as Alvaro Carreton already with a 3-second penalty. This race has gone poorly for him, very, very poorly indeed. I mean, last time out in Abu Dhabi 4 seasons ago, he did take a podium. This time he's down in P18, only 2 cars behind him. He's got a 3-second time penalty to consult him with. This is definitely not the way he wants this to go.
Yep, not ideal for himself. Speaking of ideal, though, Jarno Opmeer already up 3 positions from where he qualified, starting on the harder tyre, so we'll be looking to go long. An almighty start for the opening 2.5 laps of this Grand Prix so far. He'll have his teammates standing in front of him, of course, the Red Bull partnership of Freddie Rasmussen and himself. And if he continue to try and pull through, the lead of the race changes hands once again. Otis Lawrence getting back past Barry Burham at the exact same stretch where the Scuderia got the lead of the race last time around. 3rd and 4th stays unchanged, as does 5th and 6th. But the question I'm asking is, when does Jarno Opmeer get into that slipstream and try and pull ahead even further?
We'll have to see. I mean, at the moment he's pretty content in staying in P6 and just trailing behind those guys up in the top 5. So we'll see what he chooses to do. But then again, for a second, it is Ismail Fassi make a send there into turn number 12, as we do see Rasmussen close in as well just behind. And then maybe Jarno Opmeer could close up, but maybe it's also an issue to do with pace. Maybe he hasn't got the pace to be right on the back of them at the moment as they head their way through into the final couple of corners, but also it could be the fact he wants to save some battery and save his tyres. There's many different reasons why Jarno could be a little bit further behind of where the others are compared to each other. Ahead, as we do see, Ronhard take the fastest lap of the Grand Prix there, 124.530. He is down in P16 though. I would have expected a couple more moves by Ronhard by this lap, by lap 4. Normally he's up in around P13, P12 by now, but this time around he's a little bit further down than what we normally expect. But we head back down to turn 6 once again, and we'll see, does Barry Burman try and take the lead away?
Yep, exactly that. We'll keep an eye on the Scuderia down towards turn number 6 once again. It's like they're changing positions left, right and centre. Looks like Josh Ito might try and make it 3 wide into turn number 6. He's going to go for the inside line. He'll have to switch around the outside as Barry Burman takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Lawrence and Ito still side by side as we run down towards turn number 9 though. Are they still ahead? Josh Ito with an almighty dive down the inside.
A great move there by Ito, but here comes Otis Lawrence to the inside of Josh Ito in towards turn number 9. He gets that move back, but Josh has got the outside line. Heading through to turn number 10. Can he get that move done? I don't think he can unless he can slot it up the inside into turn 12, but no. Too far back for that. It was a great send by Josh initially, but Otis got him back heading through to turn 9 and 10, and now we'll see what can Josh do, because he tried it once. He'll have to maybe try it possibly to a different corner if he knows getting Otis then to turn 9 won't work.
Yeah, I think he is absolutely right in that. He knows where he needs to send it now. Maybe the failed mistakes was just a test of the waters, see what he could and couldn't do. But as you see, the gap between 5th and 6th starting to open up here. And I wonder if this is Jarno Opmeer slightly playing the team game to help out his teammate Freddie Rasmussen and secure the team championship over the Kick Saubers as they find themselves considerably down the order at the moment. Brendan Lee down in P12, Thomas Ronhard, of course, down in P16, and the team game could be there for the Red Bull Racing team.
Yeah, as also Ishmael Fassi there makes the move ahead, and Josh Ito heading down to turn number 5. That's a key move there for the hard runner of Ishmael Fassi, and the thing you start to question is, are the hard mediums possibly on their way out already, as we're only lap 4 of 20, not well, lap 5 of 29 through, as we do see Josh looking to try and fight back through into turn 9. Rasmussen is now on the scene. Joris Krozen's got past Jarno Opmeer and now up into P6. A brilliant race so far here by Joris Krozen as we head our way into turn number 9 we go. Rasmussen up the inside of Josh Ito looking to try and find that move, and we did see Ishmael Fassi break a little bit early into turn 9, and I think Rasmussen hit the back of him heading through into those couple of corners, and we do see Rasmussen into P5 as we, oh, what a move there from Joris Krozen up the inside of Josh Ito and losing the position there to Opmeer heading through. A bit of an optimistic move and certainly didn't work out well for him.
Yeah, Opmeer managing to save his race there. Wouldn't allow the R8G driver just down the inside. Brendan Lee having a good battle further back as he's lost out positions. They're 3 wide through the final corner. Himself, Julian and Tom Manley as we cross on to lap 6 of 29. Burman still in the lead though from Lawrence, from Fasci as we continue through. Freddie Rasmussen now holds P4, pipping out Josh Ito on the previous lap. Jarno Opmeer will still have some work to do if he wishes to try and get up closer to his teammate. But as you said, Joris Krozen with an almighty first stint here in this Grand Prix, and so certainly laying down the foundations of a good sim racing drive.
Yep, he certainly is, as we do see as well further back there. Alvaro Carlson making a move for P18, but we do see at the front there Otis Lawrence retaking the lead ahead of Barry Burman down to turn number 6, and that will just be normal work between those two, as we do see Thomas Ronhard making a move ahead of Brendan Lee and also ahead of Julian Klaffenbach for a bit of a too much of a send there into turn 6, and he does cost that position and drops back behind Julian Klaffenbach. And here we do see Jake Benham there looking to make a charge on Yoni Tormula and Danny Berchenay heading into turn 9 there. You do see the two Mercedes working together there, as we do see Jake, I think, get that move complete unless Yoni can hold it around the outside, which he can't. So Jake into the top 10 now and going to be following behind Danny Berchenay to the rest of the field. As we look further up for a second, we did see Ishmael Fassi, I think, go for a lunge on Barry Burman there.
Yeah, he was within a couple of tenths of the car, of the Scuderia that stands in front of him at the moment, but he just backed out. A rather sensible decision. All things considered, he's going to play the patient game at least this time around. But he's got to be careful. He's got, of course, the world champion in F1 sim racing right in his mirrors as we continue on to lap 7 of 29. And he's got to play attack and defence all at the same time.
He certainly has, as we head our way back down to turn number 5, and the hard tyres definitely on their way out, medium tyres, sorry, definitely on their way out. You can see Josh Ito there, over 7 tenths back now from Freddie Rasmussen, so he will soon be under pressure here from Jarno Opmeer and also Joris Krozen as we head our way down to the chicane once again. And We'll see, do we get any changes for the lead? No, we don't. Barry Burman does move over to the right, but won't go through and take the lead. He just sticks behind the back of Otis Lawrence just for now. As we head our way through further back as well, we do see Julian Klaffenbach yet again having a battle, this time Tom Manley for P13. Ahead of them we have Istvan Pukki and Yoni Tormler having a battle for P11, and further behind as well we do have Shanika Clay having a battle there with Brendan Lee, but we do see Ishmael Fassi take second away from Otis Lawrence as we head our way through turn 9 into turn 10. Ishmael Fassi up into P2, and now we'll be looking to close in. And, well, may not necessarily want to move on Barry Burman, but he's definitely in the prime position if he wants to do so.
Yeah, beautiful swooping move around the outside of turn number 9. It was optimistic, but he made it stick in the end, and that allowed the Scuderia of Burman up to P1. Ishmael Fassi swooped through as well to take away the second step on the podium, and now Lawrence will have Rasmussen in his mirrors as we continue down towards turn number 1. We're already reaching a third of the way through this Grand Prix, and how time flies here in Abu Dhabi when you're having fun, Nathan.
Very quick indeed. I mean, we're over nearly a third of the way through already, as we do see Alvaro Carreton yet again with another 3-second time penalty. This race has, yeah, it's gone from bad to worse to even worse now for him. With 6 seconds of penalties and being in P18, he'll be finishing roughly at the end 6 seconds behind everybody at this current rate as we head our way back down to turn number 6, and not many moves being made this time, but as I say that, we do see a double move here from Ishmael Fassi and Otis Lawrence looking to get ahead of Barry Burman into turn number 6. They go. Barry's got the inside over Otis. Otis is going to look for a switchback on the exit of the chicane as they head their way down to turn 9. As we do see Yano Otmi now ahead of Josh Ido up into P6, and now we do see Joris Krozen looking to close in. Can he make a move for P6 here ahead of the medium runner of Josh Ido, heading their way through into turn number 9 and 10? Can Joris find that move? No, he can't. Josh just about keeps it into P6, but I don't think he can keep that up much longer.
Yeah, he tried to swoop him around the outside of turn 9. We've seen it done time and time again. This time, though, luck wasn't on the favour of Joris down in P7. Josh Ido just holding the inside line to the utmost extremes. And Ishmael Fassi now leads us through the final corner, turn 16, on to lap 9 of 29. 21 laps to go already in this Grand Prix. Burman from Lawrence, from Rasmussen, from Otmir are your top 5 at the moment. And we are probably not far away from seeing the medium runners in towards the pit lane as Alvaro Carreton and Brendan Lee having a good old scrap out of the first corner.
They certainly are. I've got to say, TK, what has happened to Brendan Lee? Because this race has been nowhere near representative of his form this season, has it? I mean, he's what, 4th, 5th in the championship, currently battling for P17.
Yeah, this is not prime Brendan Lee we're seeing here at the moment, and everyone has their off days, it's worth saying. These esports drivers are still athletes. We're watching the lead for the Grand Prix, though. Otis Lawrence sending one down the inside of turn number 6. An almighty move down the inside of both Fassi and Burman. We've got yellow flags further back, though. Shanika Clay has gone round in turn number 7, facing the wrong way here. And that is going to be the Haas driver out of contention. Burman thought about a move in towards turn number 9. So we're almost going 2 by 2 here. We're almost having Noah's Ark in Abu Dhabi.
We certainly are. Everyone's so slow heading up turn 9 into turn 10. No one really knows where to place their vehicles as we head our way through. We're looking further back as well. Brendan Lee yet again down in another position. Oh, and I think he might have an issue because he has pulled over and let everybody through. So I'm not sure if there's an issue there for Brendan Lee as we head our way through turn 14. But back with the lead as we go once again. Lap 10 and 29 will commence. And Otis Lawrence leads away ahead of Barry Burman. Into turn 1 we go. And also further back as well, we do see Josh Ido now under pressure here from Danny Barishnaz. We do see Jonis Hormler in the pits. So I think we can safely say the mediums are definitely past their prime.
Yep, certainly are indeed. Can confirm as well, Brendan Lee suffering with wing damage on the front of that car. The front right end plate missing from the kicks out. There's a move further back going, and Danny Barishnaz wants to send one down the inside. Shanika retires from the session as to be expected after that earlier spin. And Freddie Rasmussen and Jano Otmir almost reunited on track once again. They're separated by the Williams esports driver of Ishmael Fassi. Barry Burman retakes the lead of the Grand Prix down into turn number 6. This seems to be a favourable overtaking opportunity for a number of our drivers this afternoon.
It certainly does. I mean, further back there, we did see 2 Mercs make a move past the G2. Istvan and Jake making a move past Josh Ido heading into turn number 6. We do see Tom Manley now into turn 9 looking to make a move ahead of Josh. And yeah, I certainly think that maybe this medium-hard strategy hasn't been the way to go because Josh has only lost positions. He's gained pretty much nothing over this race as we head our way down to turn 12. Once again, our leaders all so close together and even further back. Lots of Thomas Ronhard here in P13. I would have expected to see him a little bit higher than he is at the moment, but then again, it's been it's a difficult track to overtake on apart from the 2 DRS zones.
Yep, certainly is indeed. And we're not even halfway through the race yet. He's up to P13. He's probably on track to where you'd expect him to be if he's trying to make a move every single lap. Of course, it's an over-ambitious opportunity trying to go to last to first in a field as strong as the PCF1 grid. But at the moment, P13 is probably where you'd expect to see him. I think he's going to make a move on Josh Edo here, potentially down in towards turn number 5. Down the inside he goes. And that's another move made for Thomas Ronhaar as he tries to go from the back of the field to the front. No lead changes at the front though. Freddie Rasmussen still waiting for the arrival of his teammate Jarno Watmere, who surely will come and join him in the next few laps.
He certainly will, as we do see there. Julian Klaffenbach there making a move up into P13 ahead of Josh Edo, and Alvaro Caraton making a move ahead of Angelo D'Ortenzio. Further ahead, Thomas Ronhaar now on the attack of Tom Manley, looking to make a move for P11 here in this race. Not quite close enough as they head into turn on, unless he makes a big ambitious send, which no he doesn't. He stays back in P12 just for now as they head their way through turn number 9. And looking further ahead there, Duncan Hoffland closing in and stiff in the rear of Joris Krozen heading into turn 12. We'll see maybe a move can happen between those two as the laps get underway, as we head our way around turn 14, and we'll shortly be beginning lap 12 of 29, nearly halfway through the race. And it's been a bit of an interesting one so far. We've had many moves for positions, but of course, as we know, on the first stint, most moves mean nothing.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Brendan Lee into the pit lane, fresh wing for himself, and a fresh set of medium tyres for the Kick F1 esports team. Josh Edo, of course, stays out on the medium tyres that they decided to start on. Everybody else running the hard tyre at the moment. That's your tyre update at the moment. We continue through down towards turn number 5. I think normal service has somewhat resumed here this afternoon. Everybody's starting to find their pace as you see them all in one long slipstream, and they are just waiting patiently until those pit stops do start to take effect.
They certainly are. I mean, I'm watching here, Freddie Rasmussen closing in on the rear of Otis Lawrence, but not quite close enough here to make an overtake. And Freddie's quite content here with P3. Happy to sit those. We do see Joris Krozen, though, making a move here on Jarno Opmia, but can't quite get it done. He went for it, but he couldn't quite get that move done. And what a move that would have been there. Joris Krozen, new upcomer in PCF1, looking to make a move past a 2-time F1 Esports World Champion as we head our way into turn number 9 we go. And we can see further back as well, Danny Bergevin looking to close in on Duncan Hoffman, trying to make a move for P7, but can't quite do so.
Yep, unfortunate this time around. I think a lot of drivers will be waiting until the pit stops do come into force. We're expecting them probably around lap 16 or 17 if they started on the harder tyre. Who knows when the medium runner will come in. Of course, one driver still rocking and remaining on the yellow Wool Pirelli tyre. We'll keep an eye on those pit stops for you and inform you what tyre, I was going to say what the tyre they head onto, but to be expected for the hards till the end. And then we go Josh Edo in towards the pit lane. It will be a fresh set of the hard tyres until the end of the Grand Prix. So that confirms around lap 16, lap 17 for the hard runners to enter the pits.
Yeah, definitely. You know, about 4 or 5 laps on, we should see everyone start to make their way into the pit stops, and we get into that interesting pit stop phase where we don't really know who's going to be in the best position until they all get back out on track and we see people starting to move through the grid. As we head our way down to turn 6 again, will we see a move here by Otis Lawrence? No, he sits back behind. And Rasmussen also sits behind as well. Jarno Opmia, oh, sorry, not Ishmael Fancy, sorry, making a send on Rasmussen, heading into turn 6. He saw Rasmussen nap in and looks for a move, but couldn't quite get it done. And as we see again, further back, Krozen looking to make a move on Opmia here, but also Duncan Hoffland looking to defend from Danny Bergevin. Many moves happening here on lap 13 and 29. And Hoffland now up the inside of Krozen, heading through to turn 9, but can't quite find a move. And everyone looking for sends, but no one there making a move.
Yeah, everybody, I think just being patient. No one wants to send it, risk the wing damage, because, of course, they have no safety car to pull them back into the battle. And that, I think, is why Shannon Clay retired so early from this Grand Prix. He had no hope of being pulled back in to this Grand Prix with any potential damage to himself. And that's what makes it even more honourable that Brendan Lee continues to race throughout lap 14 of 29. We approach half race distance. It'll be 1.5 more laps to go. We'll keep an eye on our top 4 at the moment. They're making a slight break here from Jarno Opmia as Julian Klaffenbach and Joni Torman are both getting 3-second penalties to their names. But the battle I'm really interested in here is Joris Krozen battling our season 37 champion, of course 7-time world champion here in PSGL. What a debut for him.
It's been perfect, hasn't it? It's been brilliant indeed here by Joris Krozen so far. And we'll be looking to try and close it and make more moves. As the race gets on, as we do see Otis Lawrence now whooping to P1 ahead of Freddie Rasmussen and Barry. Oh, a big send from Berejnay and gets spun round nearly heading into turn 6. We can see his teammates behind and another teammate behind him as they head their way down to turn number 9, and that could have been a race-ending position there for Danny Berejnay. As we do head our way into turn number 9, and Rasmussen on the back of Burmand looking to close in and make a move, but can't quite get there as Tom Manley loses 3 positions down at turn number 9 there. Also not been a good race for him, as we do see what's happened there. Someone's had a yellow flag for a second.
Yeah, I think it might have been Julian Klappenbach potentially causing that yellow flag. Not 100% confirmed on that. We might have missed it for a brief second, but that is where the gap is starting to form. You can see Alvaro Caraton 2.5 seconds off the back of Tom Manley as we start lap 15 of 29. And just a reminder, of course, if you are just coming into the chat, Jarno won the championship last week out in Brazil. The battle at the moment is still hot for the team's championship, though, and that is all to play for. Red Bull still hold it by 16 points, but the Kicksaubers at the moment looking rather disadvantaged with Ron Har in P11 and Brendan Lee after that earlier damage down in P19. Yeah,
I can't exactly see those two taking the championship here, as Jarno and Freddie sit P3 and P5 at the moment. As we head our way, still lap 15 now, down towards turn 6 we go. Burmand on the back of Lawrence, and do we see any audacious moves this time around? No, we don't. We did see Jamal Fassi close in, but didn't choose to go for that move this time around, as we do see Julian Klappenbach there making a move ahead of Alvaro Caraton. And yeah, it must have been Julian earlier on that caused that yellow flag, because they're now 2.5 seconds back from our top 10 drivers, as we do see a brilliant battle here for P9 and P8 here with Berejnay, Pookie, Benham and Rodhar all fighting their way through turn number 9 now. And do we see any moves here? Rodhar's on the outside of Benham heading into turn 12, but no moves can be made. And I've got to say, TK, from what we've seen tonight here at turn 9, there's been so many sends there, but not many people have actually got them to work.
Yeah, it's one of those corners where people will get the overspeed necessarily round the outside, but because of the decreasing radius of the corner, it's not a position where you can try and swoop on around the outside and hold the overspeed. So you've either got to compromise on line, or you've got to compromise on the ideal speed through that corner. I think that's what a lot of people are really struggling with. The inside line is perfect on speed and consistency, and if you attempt the outside line in any way, shape or form that's wrong, it's not going to work out for you.
Yeah, it certainly will not, as we did see as well there. Caratal getting another 3-second penalty now. That's 9 seconds to his name. So certainly not too many. He's not going to be friends with the track limits, that's for sure. As we head our way down to turn 6 here, Rasmussen closing in on Bormann. Is this the time for Rasmussen to make a move? It is. To the inside he goes. Looks to try and take P2 away. Gets into the braking zone nicely. Bit of contact though. That loses him possibly the position here to Ismail Fassi and Jarno Otmir and Joris Krozen all looking to push down to turn 9. And a bit of a mismatch there between Burmand and Rasmussen's front tyres. And there's everyone else to close it and possibly look to make their own moves into turn 9 as we head our way through. Not me, nearly tapping the back of Ismail Fassi heading through there. Caratal makes a move ahead of Klappenbach for P13 as we head our way down to turn 12 with our leaders. And Krozen then for a second was looking to make a send into turn 12, but luckily thought the better of it.
Yeah, he certainly was. I think we're expecting pit stops within the next couple of laps, so keep your eyes on the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see who does decide to take that early plunge in towards fresh rubber territory. Otis Lawrence, Burman, Freddie Rasmussen, the likes of everybody in the front deciding to stay out. Jake Benham will be the first of the drivers that heads into the pit lane and actually gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh my, it's such a rookie error, isn't it? Such a small error you can make, which gives such a big penalty. I mean, I think it should be judged on how much you overspeed into the pits, personally. I think 10 seconds, just say he was 1 kilometre an hour over. That is a rather harsh punishment, isn't it?
I actually agree with the penalty of speeding in the pit lane because you are trying to gain milliseconds and seconds when the pit stops are so quick in modern day Formula 1, and it's a high risk, high reward situation. This time around, it hasn't paid off for Benham.
Certainly hasn't. I mean, he'll be all the way at the back of the grid and probably finishing in P19 at this rate, unless something else happens to Brendan Lee or with the penalties that have been applied to Alvaro Caraton. As we do see him move forward, the lead into turn number 9 there. Lawrence taking it away from Burmand as Ismail Fassi up the inside of Rasmussen heading through the inside line. Can he get it to work this time out? No, he can't. Sticks back as they head into turn number 12, and Rasmussen still claims that 3rd spot as we head our way through to conclude lap 17 of 29. And I think now, TK, we might see a couple of them head in for an early pit stop. And if I was some of those in the train, surely go for an early pit stop and get a bit more free air.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye. Everybody looks like they're staying out, though. So when are these drivers going to head in? Or are we going to see the soft tyre used right at the end here? I know it's not overly a great race tyre, especially in F124, but we'll keep an eye on the tyre choices as we go through. Bent's down in P15 has headed into the pit lane. No 10-second penalty to add to his name. But as we continue through, lap 18 of 29, 12 laps of racing to go here in this Grand Prix. Everybody is following the status quo.
They certainly are. Brendan Lee gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, and it's been a very... Well, he's retired. I think that's pretty much sums up what has been Brendan Lee's day here. Not good at all. As we do see a massive move into turn number 6 there. Lawrence nearly losing 3 positions into one corner. Rasmussen takes the lead ahead of Burman, ahead of Fassi, and Lawrence in P4. And not being there looks to get involved as they head their way down to turn number 9. Who will be taking the lead of the Grand Prix? Burman goes to the outside. Fassi follows through as well, and Lawrence as well on the outside of Fassi. 3 wide into turn number 9. Rasmussen keeps that P2 just for now, and Barry Burman has the lead of the race. As we head our way to turn number 10, 11 and 12. Who will take third? We've got side-by-side action into turn number 12. Fassi's got the outside. Lawrence is up the inside now on the outside as they head their way through to turn 13. And Fassi gets that move done in a massive scrap. And Fassi comes out in third.
Yeah, managed to hold it around the outside, and then when the outside quickly became the inside line, managed to get the switch back on the likes of Otis Lawrence. And now we see drivers in towards the pit lane. Duncan Hoffland with 3 seconds to add to their race total. So Lawrence, Otmir Krozen, Pookie Ronha, the likes of the drivers deciding to stay out. We've got someone going very wide off in the background. I think it was, who was that?
Yoris. Very wide.
Not quite sure, maybe just misanticipated turn number 1 though. I thought that was actually Ronha. It looked like the second of the highlighter green cars, but as things stand, as you said, Yoris was the one going slightly wide. Maybe just didn't anticipate fully some of the drivers in front of him.
Yeah, also, I don't know if you mentioned TK, but both Duncan and Ishmael got a 3-second penalty. I think, though, there's a bit of an issue with the pit lane on the entry, so I don't know if they can get removed. I know there was a bit of a glitch with it before, with you getting a warning for just going into the pits.
Yep, I think I remember something like that. Track limits maybe just a little bit dodgy through that corner. I'm sure the stewards here in PSGL will do their amazing work once this Grand Prix is well dead and buried, and I'm sure the results will be rectified upon appeal from those drivers. We'll keep an eye, though, at the battle for the lead at the moment. That's contact between Pookie and Lawrence. I thought that was about to end in heartbreak for at least one of the drivers, but at the moment, Lawrence still holds on. We've got a 3-way battle further back. Ronhard Manley and Yoris all getting involved here as we head towards the pit stops. Tom Manley down the inside of Ronhard, up to P5 and just holding on for the time being.
A great little battle indeed there. A couple of R8Gs and a Red Bull will now be involved in that one as we head our way through into the pit lane phase. For many of them, apart from Yoris, he stays out. Jarno, Otis, Istvan, Tom, Thomas and Julian all decide to go into the pit lane, as we will see Josh Ido take the net lead of the Grand Prix heading down to turn number 1.
We will indeed. We'll keep an eye on where everybody comes out. Of course, the undercut very, very powerful on a circuit like this with such a long pit lane for our drivers to try and navigate. And Yoris out of the final corner then had a massive tail snapper and barely kept control of the car. So very lucky to still be pointing on the straight and narrow. But as you said, Josh Ido now takes command of this race. 3.5 seconds clear and back to Jake Benham, who of course has that penalty to his name. So actually, ideally, is probably about 4 or 5 seconds clear at the moment.
Indeed, as we do see Joni Tormela now take the net lead away from his teammate Josh Ido. Of course, 10-lap-old hards here for Joni Tormela and 7-lap-old hards for Josh Ido. And then everyone else behind are all on 3, 1 or 0-lap-old tyres on the mediums, as Jake Benham is in that net third, but of course has a penalty. Which means Fred Rasmussen will be next in line to try and charge after the leaders as Josh Ido takes the lead back once again. And we'll see, does Joris Krozen choose to pit this time round? And one thing tells me that if he's pitted this late, he must be confident in his pace, because he wouldn't go out this long if he isn't confident in his pace that he's got behind him.
Unless we're expecting a soft tyre strategy in the end here from Yoris, maybe try and switch something up from the grid. Someone's asked why Jarno on mediums again. He started on the hard tyre, but it is into the pit lane for Yoris. 20-lap-olds are taken off of that car, and we'll continue through. But the two Alpines here working really well together to try and keep their gap, keep their advantage from the cars behind them.
Yep, certainly is. It will be medium tyres here for Joris Krozen as Alvaro Carlton takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and Barry Burman right on the rear now of Jake Benham for P4. As we head our way down to turn number 5 once again, and Ishmael Fassi as well, closing in just behind, but of course a penalty will deny him from a podium here in this Grand Prix. It's a big send there from Burman on Benham into turn 5 they go. And it's a nice send indeed, and a nice move made there by Barry Burman. Goes up into P4, unless Jake can try and fight back down to turn 6. I don't think there's much he can do. As you do see, it's up for the lead, and Ishmael Fassi now up into P5 ahead of Jake Benham, and Josh Ito gets another penalty now. No, sorry, his first penalty of the Grand Prix will be 3 seconds for him. As we do see the charge of Freddie, Barry and Isma looking to close down on the 2 at the front.
Well, that could have just thrown away the race win to one of the Alpines. Of course, the gap back to Freddie Rasmussen is teetering over that 3 second. There's a battle further back. Benham, I think Hoffland getting involved. Hoffland down the inside of turn number 9, trying to swoop the move past Jake Benham. Now we'll have the outside line of turns 10, 11 and 12. Just slots to the inside. Thought about the switchback for about half a second, but couldn't go for it this time around. And now the gap between Rasmussen and Ido and Tormela now under that 3 second delta. I think this could be game, set, a match for Red Bull as things stand.
It certainly could be as we head our way onto lap 22 of 29, and the gap's 1.9 as we do see a move there. Jake Benham looking to defend, there from Duncan Hoffland into turn 1. They make contact, and Benham goes off the circuit, comes back on ahead of Duncan Hoffland, and now it's time for Danny Barrage to enter the scene and look to make his move here ahead of Benham and Hoffland as we head down to turn 5, and Hoffland goes up the inside. Late send here by Hoffland on Benham. And now Danny Brognet will look to try and benefit off both of those two, running a bit deep into turn 5. He uses a battery, he pulls to the inside and makes a move past 1. And he should make the move past 2, as we do see there. Yoni Tormela going back up in the lead ahead of Josh Ito. Brognet goes up into P6. Oh, very late on the brakes and nearly taking out the rear of Ishmael Fassi.
Yeah, I don't know if there was an issue there with Fassi's car. He seems to come to almost a standstill at turn 6 and turn 7, but we continue through this Grand Prix 22 of 29 as Burman and Rasmussen having a good battle here through turn number 10 in towards 11 and 12. And at the moment, the Red Bull Sim Racing driver will just have to stand for P4. Burman still in with a chance for the podium positions. Of course, the 2 drivers that stand in front of him do have penalties to their name, so this is essentially a battle for the race lead.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, at the moment, the gap's 1.1 as they head their way onto lap 23 of 29, 6 to go here in this Grand Prix. And now Burman is within a second, so he needs to burn a bit of battery to keep himself within a second as they head into turn 1. He's done that quite nicely. Way better tyre, should easily look to try and make a move ahead of the 2 at the front. The 2 Alpine drivers, of course, Josh and Yoni. You could also call them the 2 G2 drivers at the front of Josh and Johnny as we head our way down to turn 5 now. Burman's within half a second. We'll see if he can't get a move down to turn 6. He could go for it down to turn number 9. As we do see further back as well. I'm keen to see what Joris Krozen can do, but that strategy, that has gone poor for Joris. Look at the gap, 8 tenths. I mean, I don't know how further back he was before, but so far it's not worked out as we do see Yana Watmir make a move past a former teammate. But Jake's going to fight it back into turn 6. Can he get it done into turn 7? No, that's a back out. Wasn't close enough, and now Pookie's on the charge.
Yeah, just had to back out that time around. Jano Otmir, of course, 7th time now. PSGL F1 champion will continue through. It's Van Pookie getting past Jake Benham. Jake Benham will try to go for the defensive move. And Otis Lawrence getting involved here. Trying to squidge down the inside. Not necessarily where the space was there, but he'll settle in to P10 at the moment. Will he try and swoop around the outside of this right-hander in towards the hotel and the casino section here in Abu Dhabi? I think he's just found his match this time around. He'll settle in behind the Mercedes of It's Van Pookie, back up at the lead of the Grand Prix. Everybody has caught themselves once again. Barry Burman now within 0.2 of a second back from Yoni Tormina, Freddie Rasmussen and Ishmael Fassi, all within the party. Danny Berezhne, of course remaining penalty free through the course of this Grand Prix, is on for a good chance of a podium.
Certainly, very good chance of a podium here, but then again, everyone else is on such a good chance of a podium, bar those with the penalties, because the grid is closing up so quickly, and we're seeing very audacious moves everywhere around the field. We do see Barry Burman go up into P2 there. Rasmussen looking to close in for P3 and possibly take P2 away from Barry Burman as we head our way down to turn number 6 here. Thomas has lost another position here to Ishmael Fassi, and possibly a position to Danny Barrage as we head into turn number 6 now. In a bit of a send, he only tries to defend it if he can. He can't do much there against Danny Bergeret as they head their way. Back down to turn 9 they go. Bergeret is going to look to get that move done, and he does get it done as they head their way into the next left-hander and further back as well. Hofland looking to close in here on the Rio Tourmalet, and he's not quite close enough just yet as they head their way through into the right corner, looking to begin lap 25 of 29, and Josh Ito has the lead of the Grand Prix, but it shouldn't be too long before Barry Burman dispatches him.
Yeah, he'll just have to play the patient game. He doesn't want to cause himself to get a track limits penalty trying to pass the current race leader off Josh Ito. Duncan Hofland here trying to get past Joni Toimila, trying to swoop him around the outside, but Jarni Watmir has taken that invitation, swooped down the inside. Beautiful move around the outside here of the final quarter for the current champion here in PCF1, up to P7 at the moment from P9 where he once started. Now he can try and charge down the Alpine that stands in front of him. Duncan Hofland tried to open the door, but Jarno Watmir came barging in, said no thank you, that is open for me.
He certainly did as we head our way down to turn 5 once again here. Burman on the charge, looking to make a move ahead of Ito, as we do see further back. Jarno Watmir looking to get a move past Joni Tourmalet, does get that done, and now Joni's got back past Duncan Hofland as we head our way down to turn 6. Barry Burman takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Rasmussen looks to close to second. Pookie on the grass as they head their way into turn number 6, now making it 3 wide into the braking zone. Pookie goes from it. Oh, and he's hit Jarno Watmir. Has gone straight on at turn number 9. And Watmir gets a penalty as well. That was a big misjudgment there by Istvan Pookie.
Unbelievable stuff that we've just seen. It's 2 abreast once again in towards turn number 9. Burman still leads from Rasmussen from Fashy. They're going wheel to wheel around the long left-hander, but as you said, 10-second penalty awarded to Jarno Watmir at the end there through turn 6 and turn 7, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a steward's appeal going on there at the end. Danny Bergeret still in P5, trying to chase down Josh Ito at the moment. We're on lap 25 of 29. We have 5 laps to go once we cross the timing beam now to start lap 26 of 29.
Well, lap 25 showed us some chaos. I'm sure the last 3 laps will also show us some chaos. And to the 1,500 of you watching in the chat, make sure you keep your eyes peeled for the final 3 laps of this race, because it's going to get even better now. Everyone is looking to make moves. We've got tyres that are getting older and older. People are still going to push as hard as they can on them to make some of these moves and defend some of these moves. And I've got to say, a big shame on those who went on the overcut, because it hasn't worked, has it really at all? Especially for Joris, P15.
Yeah, they were ambitious going for the overcut. It hasn't necessarily worked out this time around. The undercut's so powerful here in Abu Dhabi. And as you said, Barry Burman has used that to his advantage, holding up Freddie Rasmussen in the lead of the Grand Prix. And we continue through with 4 laps to go. 6, 7, 8 and 9. Count them down on your fingers, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going right to the wire.
It certainly is. And at the moment, we do see Watmir looking to make a move ahead of Josh Ito, heading through into turn number 9 and 10. Jarno around the outside. Can he get that move completed? Should do quite easily ahead of Josh, and he does so. Into P5 goes Jarno Watmir, of course, with that rather confusing penalty, 10 seconds. So that will, I presume, get removed heavily. So Jarno is pretty much in a net 4 position here because of Ismail Fassi's penalty as we head our way down to turn number 16. But then again, Ismail could also get his removed because I think he got it while entering the pits, which is a bit of a bug. Yeah, so it's all unknown.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there will be a lot of stewards' decisions coming the way of our drivers this afternoon. So the front 4 could yet be decided once we cross the finish line. Of course, once stewards have had their inputs on any penalties that may need removing. We have confirmation from people in the chat, but we'll wait for confirmation from the stewards. It's Van Pookie here, still in P7, dive down the inside by Otis Lawrence. He thought about a move in towards turn number 5. They're still wheel to wheel as we go with the DRS down towards turn 6 and turn 7. The lead of the Grand Prix could be changing hands here. They go 2 wide, but P2, are they going to make it 3 for the lead? No, it's going to be Ismail Fassi down the inside of turn number 6 into turn number 7. And at the moment, he takes the lead of the Grand Prix.
A brilliant move there from Ismail Fassi up into the lead, as we do see there Otis Lawrence and Istvan Pookie making a move ahead of Josh Ito. Josh being pushed wide as they go through, as we do see Barry Burman now taking the lead ahead of Freddie Rasmussen on lap 27 and 29. Fassi still up the inside of Rasmussen here, looking to make a big slide and nearly loses the car. Heading through to turn 11 and 12, there you go. And Barry Burman in the prime position at the moment, but we do know that having the DRS is definitely the position you want to be in. Now, as we do see Manley looking to make a move ahead of Ito, heading into turn number 14. can't quite get that move done as we head into turn 15, but slightly gets ahead. And into P9 goes Tom Manley, which at this rate is looking to take net P5 because of the penalties.
Yep, certainly is. We enter the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. We said it was all going to be settled when the pit stops came into force, and it has been indeed. Thomas Ronnar, of course, starting down in P20 after not qualifying here this afternoon, up to P10, up within the points, but not as high as I think he wished he could have climbed. But the battle for the lead still well and truly on. Burman from Rasmussen from Fashi. Danny Beresne is still within for a chance, as is Jarno Otmir. He couldn't get the win last time out to secure the championship. He secured it nonetheless, but he would have liked to do so with a race win. I wonder if today could be vengeance for Jarno Otmir. 3 wide now into turn number 6. Fashi on the inside, Burman on the outside. The roles will reverse here into turn 7, and it looks like Rasmussen thought about a switch back, but can't quite get the traction.
He went for it, but couldn't quite get it done as we head our way back down to turn number 9. Once again, Rasmussen and Ishmael Fassi looking to try and make the lead of the Grand Prix as they head into turn 9. Now 3 wide for a moment. Fassi takes the lead, goes very deep and allows Barry and Freddie to come back at them as they head down to turn number 10 and 11. As they will see Rasmussen take the lead again on the outside of Fassi. They're going to carry it side by side through to turn 13, through to turn 14. Otmir as well, looking to make 2 moves through to turn 14. Jarno Otmir, 2 moves being made in turn 14. He's in P4 now. Otis Lawrence looking to fight through. Bereshnay looking to fight through, but as well as we head our way down to onto lap 29. Final corner we go. Who's going to take the win here, TK?
Well, that's the question in the air at the moment. Red Bull, as it stands, will secure the team championship here in season 37. Fashi and Boromond will join him on the podium, and of course penalties will come into their own. Jarno Otmir, who stands in P4 at the moment, who knows what they can do on the final lap of racing. Down towards turn number 5 we go. He'll stay in P4 as things stand. Wait for that DRS zone. Are we going to see 3? Are we going to see 4 wide? Down into turn number 6. Not completely unheard of on this Yas Marina circuit. Rasmussen still leads down towards turn number 6. Fashi now makes it 2. Borman makes it 3 wide down into turn 6. There's still 3 wide through 6 and through 7. Jarno looks for an opening. Can he get it out of the turn? He's got both of them. He's going to get Rasmussen as well round the outside with the DRS open on the run down towards turn number 9. Now Jarno Otmir takes the lead of the Grand Prix away from the front 3, swoops round turn number 9, and your season 37 champion could have just stamped history here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll head into sector 3. Surely nobody is going to be able to top it off. Alvaro Caraton and Bentz both retiring in the back, but Jarno Otmir, as we head through the Grand Prix, 3 more, now 2 more corners to contend with. He'll have the penalty removed, almost certainly, and Jarno Otmir, after a dominant season, will come home to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Barry Borman will get it according to the game, and Lawrence will share the podium with them.
I mean, what a finish that was. I mean, I saw a little bit of a naughty move there. I think it was by Otis Lawrence on, I think it was this Van Pinkney or Danny Bereshnay into the final corner. But what a race that was. I mean, the ending, couldn't have called it. Jarno Otmir, what a move. Was it 6 cars he made a move past? What? 6 cars out of turn 7. That is going to be move of the season. But also, starting P18, Angelo D'Altenzio finishes P6.
Absolutely amazing stuff. Holy smokes, what a finish we've just seen here this afternoon. Of course, penalties will come into their own place. Stewards will have their verdicts later on. But according to us and according to everything I know, Jarno Otmir will take the race win. Barry Burman, according to the game, gets the top spot. Otis Lawrence in P2. Top Manny P3. Ron Hart, Fashi, D'Altenzio, Rasmussen, Hoffland, Pookie and Beresnay as your top 10. Then your Tormula, Ido, Krozen, Klaffenbach, Benham, Caraton, and Bentz as your finishers. Brendan Lee and Chanaka Clay, of course, retiring earlier in the Grand Prix. But let's go back and talk about what a race we've just seen.
For a finale, that is pretty much what you expect, isn't it, from a finale? It was superb. The whole race through, we had action at the front, at the rear, in the mid-pack. We had a bit of a mix of strategy. And then the last 10 laps, it was just chaos, wasn't it? Absolute chaos. I mean, we had the top 7 comfortably battling for the lead. Jarno Otmir, P7 at turn 6, turn 9, he's P1. It was just a brilliant move. I mean, everyone was all over the road. The last corner as well. You was watching at the front, but I was looking further back, and there was also moves being made and people being shoved wide and being half spun out the final corner. It was chaos, but it was the best way to finish a season. I mean, it's been a brilliant season. I've only been able to commentate here for the final round. TK's been here for a couple over the season. And of course, Jack, George, and Dan have been able to see the rest of the season. And it's been, I think they can all agree, it's been a brilliant season, hasn't it?
It has been an almighty season. Of course, when we took to the Bahrain circuit for the first round of season 37, it was going to be carnage. It was going to be catastrophe, and an almighty race that we have just seen here this afternoon. I wonder, we'll see if we can get 3 in for a chat, in for an interview. If not, at least hopefully Yano in for a chat just to talk about that race win. But what a switchback at turn 7. 3 drivers went 3 wide into turn 6. They held it through the twists and the turns, and Yano Otbe just managed to get the traction right at the end there. Driver of the day, Nathan. I think, well, there's one man that comes to mind, potentially 2 as well, if you want to factor in Angelo with an almighty debut here in F1.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd like to say Yano, but then again, Yano's always doing it. But Angelo, debut P6, I feel like he's going to take it for me there personally. But it's one of those where any of them can deserve it. It's not like Angelo did the best. So many drivers there deserve that Driver of the Day award, as we do have Otis in the interview room. Was Otis on the podium? He was, wasn't he? P2.
He was P2 on the game, of course, when penalties come in at the end. But we'll bring Otis in for a quick chat. Otis, of course, fantastic race from yourself. P2 on the game, and I think penalties may just pip you down to P3. But just talk us through it from your perspective.
It was a strong race for myself. I did everything I could. GG's Barry on the win. Yeah, the pace was strong. I did everything I could in the race. I got pole in quali as well, which was good. And I lacked a little bit on pace in the race. So just setup wise, I think I just had carried a lot of understeer. But yeah, that was an eventful race, especially for you commentators. I guarantee it was like very eventful because I swear it's 5 wide going into the long left. But yeah, it was lots of wheel banging and stuff, which is not the greatest thing to see. But yeah, I did everything I could, and I'm happy with the result.
Yeah, it certainly was a hectic end to what had been a rather tame Grand Prix. And of course, as you said, 5 wide into a considerable number of corners at the end there. Now the season's over. That is season 37 done for PSGL. We're looking ahead to potentially another season or potentially esports as well. Where's your mind at right now?
I'm confident. I think we've just bagged P2 in the championship just now, so I'm happy. I'm confident going into esports now. So yeah, just full focus for that now.
Nathan, anything for Otis?
I mean, it was a superb race, wasn't it? P2 in the end, a really good race. I mean, it was chaotic to the end, so you didn't really know who was going to finish where. But yeah, I think you did get P2 in the championship, I think, by like 3 points, which is very close. But of course, it's been a really good season, of course. Been in the reserve spot, so you've been in obviously, well, normally you've been in a couple of different cars, but we've all been in the F1 World Car. What would you say as how's it been in the F1 World Car this season? Would you prefer to be in the main cars if there wasn't an issue with the equality?
Honestly, I prefer the F1 World Cars because you get that equal, equal performance for everyone. So it just makes everything equal, except from the pit entry, the pit lane stuff, which can be a little bit shambles. But honestly, I don't mind whatever people want. I don't really care. If someone wants normal cars, it's fine for me. I'll just drive with it and I'll try to do the best I can.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I saw a couple of people as well in the pit lane get penalties for track limits. Is that a bug or is that legit, do you think? Because I saw a lot of people get a penalty there.
It's probably a bug. I wouldn't really count it as a warning. So we'll see in the stewards, don't we? I'm not sure if it's written in the briefing that you can get it removed in the pits. So we'll see.
Definitely. So obviously, if it all goes your way with the penalties, and you do claim P2 in the championship, very well done to you, to yourself this season, and of course, T-Team as well. It's been a very nice season indeed here in PSGL. Is there anything else from you, TK, before we let Otis go?
No, nothing. Just best of luck in the next few weeks and whenever esports turns around, and we're all secretly rooting for you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Amazing. Thank you, Otis.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll drag in Barry.
We have got Barry just sneaking into the commentary box or into the waiting room. So let's drag him across for a chat as well. Barry, welcome in to the commentary box. And it was, I believe, P1 on the game at the end there. Of course, once penalties had their say. Talk us through what was going through your head in those last few laps.
Yeah, first of all, hello to everyone, and hope you guys doing well. But oh my god, I mean, it's the same story as all the races in this game. It's always the top 6, top 7, top 5. It's just all about gamble and all about who put his car in the best position that is just perfect for the scenario we are in to get the win. But I mean, in general, it was a really I think it was a good race. But me and Freddy and Isma, we had so many like side by side, and then we obviously tried to give each other as much room as possible. And then yeah, we go again, penultimate lap again. This game, everyone putting on none, and nobody accelerating in the last sector. Everyone going with like 60 kph in the whole last sector, and it's just everyone just bunched up, and then going to last sector is genuinely just a mess up. And but yeah, still congrats to P1 on the track, P2. But yeah, I think I don't know if I was a little bit luckier, I could have won. But still, top 3 is not bad. It's good.
Yeah, it was an amazing, well, it was an amazing race from our point of view. I think it got a little bit chaotic and hectic in those last few laps. And we were speaking to Otis just a couple of moments ago about Stewart's decisions and how that's going to come into play. But obviously, for yourself at the moment, it is top spot.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I really like in my brain, my mentality is here. I really care in track position, like in the where I finish in the track. But still, whatever happens in steward room, still a good learning race, and I will take it.
Amazing stuff. Nathan, anything for Barry?
Of course, well done on the victory. Very good job from you indeed tonight. And just one quick question from me: what do you think that could be done by esports or by the organisers to stop all this like crowding down, especially into some of the final sectors of the races?
I mean, it's quite obvious. Like in every year, we going the balance of their tier and the slipstream DRS is just getting worse and worse and worse. And I think last year was when I jumped in. We did our first race. I thought, okay, this is the end. Like you can't get any worse than this. The balance of their tier, because obviously last year was kind of like way worse than also this year. That you could just but you always have to be again P2, and you obviously their only chance that you win the race was mainly being P2. But this game is just next level. Like the balance, there's no dirt here. There's literally no dirt here, and if you drive behind someone, you're actually saving tires, saving like I don't know, like you don't need to sweat, you don't need to push. It's just so much easier.
Yeah.
And it's even worse than last year by far. And I think the only thing they can do is probably I don't know less power on DRS, or like the slipstream gets a little bit worse, or they add like huge amount of their tier.
Mhm.
I think the main problem is these three, and I think most of the F1 esports drivers will agree. And I really hope so. If I can help them, just contact me, and I will try my best. Like I really hope this DRS slipstream and the their tier balance gets fixed by EA and Formula One, because right now, genuinely, I want to say what I feel from bottom of my heart, and it's just unraceable. Like every race is the same shambles.
Wow, strong words. I mean, I'm not going to confirm and deny, but yeah, indeed, it's an interesting one indeed, Barry. But thank you definitely for popping in for an interview, and enjoy your little break away from the season. Actually, no, one quick thing: will we see you in E-Series next season?
I hope so. It depends on Ferrari, but yeah, it depends on Ferrari, but yeah, I really hope so.
Definitely. So, mate, thank you yet again for
Also,
joining. Oh, yeah,
also congrats to the champion this season. I
yeah,
believe it was Jarno, so huge
yeah,
congrats to him.
yeah, definitely. Well, is that everything, Barry? For sure.
Hello, sorry.
I said, is that everything? Definitely.
Yeah, it is. Now I'm gonna just go sleep. It's
Right,
like
have a good one,
1
Barry.
a.m. here. Yeah, bye bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Ah,
Oh.
well, strong words from Barry at the end there, and it looks like Yano isn't going to be joining us. I think he's hopped out of the waiting room, and
Yep.
I don't blame him. It's probably late over there, and man needs to sleep after an almighty race result
Yeah.
for him. But Nathan, thank you so much for joining us in the comment box. Where can they check you out on social media if they want to do so just a little bit more?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have the same name everywhere, so it's a bit difficult. I mean, you can find me at Twitter at RichieF1, always replace with ones. Instagram, Nathan Richards 33. TikTok is, I think, Nathan Richards 1. Twitch is Nathan _Richards_. So, yeah, you're not going to remember any of them, but the best place to find me is definitely on Twitter. So you can see that there on the bottom underneath my camera at RichieF1.
Amazing. If you want to, well, if you're watching on Twitch, don't forget to drop a follow. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to chuck a subscribe. Both of them are free, and you get notified every time we go live over here on the PSGL channel. As for myself, I'm at They Call Me TK on pretty much 90% of things, sometimes with a little underscore before the name because people like to steal usernames. But from all of us here in season 37 of PSGL PCF1, until we see you again, and who knows how long that may be, from all of us here, it's good night and God bless.
Good.